Okay, we're rolling. It's the What's Up. Oh, shoot. I wasn't even prepared. We were talking about stuff, but I just realized I don't have a Patreon list to read an intro in a second. I can fix that, don't worry. Power of tabs. So many tabs. But, hey, hi, it's What's Up with Omega and Lucky. I'm Omega, he's Lucky. We're doing stuff. There is almost nobody listening to us live, because Hololive English is going on right now.
They are debuting. Who's debuting right now?
Shark. What's her name again? Guar?
Guar, yeah.
Guar.
Guar.
It's a little weird. I have to deprogram myself because, at least in the couple of debut streams I've picked up on, they do their names in, I think in Western order. Or at least Calliope did for sure. Because I'm pretty sure Calliope is not supposed to be her surname. I'm pretty
sure Calliope isn't completely sure what she's supposed to be either.
Calliope's great. Big spirit animal energy. We'll talk about that more in a second, but first I would like to remind you that this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Adam DeHarp, Ahiga Comics, Architect 10, Blacklist OG, Carlos, Quad, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Rogue Robin, Shawnee P, Some Guy Named Bob, Sodasun, 0424, 723, Video Gamer 75, and Zach Reed. If you like what we do, want to see some more, consider supporting a Patreon. You get access to it early and lots of other goodies that really helps us out. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. I do not have a soda, I just realized. It's fine. We're actually recording a bit earlier than we would normally.
Yeah, it just kind of happened that, so I just, I don't know if there's really a conversation topic in there, but I should mention that hypothetically my sleep schedule might be bonkers right now, in that there is not a schedule. Sleep just happens and sometimes doesn't happen.
I know this feel.
But, I got up not too long ago, a few hours ago. I don't know what you were doing, Lucky, but I just ate lunch, second meal of the day, because I was super hungry and starting to get sleepy. That's what hunger does to me, by the way. I don't get, necessarily crabby or anything. It's just the energy and the life leaves my body.
This also might mean that Megan sometimes just won't have the energy to deal with your shit, though, so be careful.
Yes. Energy is important. But I just eaten lunch, and Lucky was like, hey, what are we going to do for recording today? And I'm like, I'm trying to catch up on this Hololive English stuff, but I'm not really doing anything today. We can just go ahead and get recorded anytime. You were like, oh yeah, I'm ready anytime. I'm like, well, do we want to just do it now?
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yep. So
I'm also multi-gadget drifting because I actually figured that recording has become my super perfect time to do lots of AL grinding because I'm doing something else, but I have to be sat at my computer. Because hey, remember all that? You might remember from last week, to briefly tangent to that. Omega had a lot of energy about actually doing the thing and going forth, and then I didn't do it for 2 more days after that, too. So, I don't know if I'm going to get enough hunter points or reps in 4 days or whatever, but we'll try. I'll put in an effort, at least.
Alright, so we actually do got quite a bit to talk about. We will talk about Hololive and we'll talk about Arknights, Contingency Contract, AL, Destiny Child. Lucky might actually talk a little bit about Legend of the Five Rings and character creation. Because he's been thinking about it, and we're actually doing something that I don't think we've actually really had come up in one of our games here. Our character has decided to retire one of his characters.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if he would talk about that, because that's a really interesting subject.
Yeah. But, as Mega started out, he's talking about he's working on Azur Lane. As you know, they still got their mini event going on. It's still going on to the 16th.
Did JP do their big long AL stream yet, or is that still in the future?
I don't know. They have shown off a new ship.
Yes, they're planning. There's a new event upcoming. They've already started the pre-thingy. You can get extra EXP, I think, on Akagi and Laffy and stuff.
Yeah, they've started it, but I don't know if they've actually done the full stream. Is Panda here?
Yeah, I believe Panda's here. They did one of the two. Okay, they're streaming for 24 hours. All right, so they haven't the whole thing isn't done yet. They're still in the process. All right. Well, yes. Continue, Lucky. I will track down their tweet because Ian Azur Lane's already tweeted out one of the new ships. So
yes,
let me hunt it down.
But the mini event's still going. So Lucky has given up on the mini event because as he was looking at his dock space, he has 360 spots. And he was butting up against 355. Lucky's I don't have space for picking up every little bitty ship, especially if I'm not going to use them probably ever. Mm-hmm. Now Hunter is clearly some people's aesthetic. Some people are very happy to get her, and nothing against them. I think I was actually talking to someone about this who says they have to get all the ships. I'm all like, please love them for all the fucking love that I cannot give them. Because Lucky I don't have the space, I don't have the money to keep... Oh! Lucky is playing Remnant Remnant from the Ashes right now because he likes this game. But anyway, I died.
Oh, it's a compilation of stuff that is in a Crazy Moon language. So English has released the preview of Shinano.
Shinano, that's what it was.
Who is big.
Big. Also,
she's a Yamato class aircraft carrier, so yes, big.
Do
we
she's
have
also an ultra
Yamato
rare.
Classes?
Right? The what?
Do we have any more Yamato classes? Because we don't actually have Yamato. Yeah, so that's an important thing. She is ultra rare.
Yeah.
Which is technically ultra rare only exists in retrofits for already 5-star ships. Because priority rarities are called something different.
Yes.
But I believe they've said that she's going to have a very small construction chance, or do you have to buy her in the event, I assume? I hope she's not just a construction or drops.
That would suck. It would suck.
That would be a pain in the butt.
Would be a pain in the butt. But, so that is happening. But as I said, Lucky has mentioned this before, but he is committed to getting Ironblood ships and Sakura ships as a secondary. So I need to be a little bit more conservative with my space and not just go ape shit for every single fucking ship.
No, that's fair. Hey, Omega might have realized he has the same problem, but I bought my monthly trade license for the first time ever in Azur Lane because it was. Oh wow! I figured it would be a good idea. It's only what, like $7, $6?
Yeah, that's not bad.
It gives you a few hundred gems, 200 of which I immediately spent on more dock space because Azur Lane. But it gives you stuff for it's like the Arknights version. Arknights is better in terms of premium currency, I think.
Maybe. Also, you don't have to worry about fucking dock space with Arknights.
True. Arknights does a lot of things really well, and we'll talk about it later. But yeah, so I picked up a trade license because I was just like, what's a small purchase I can make for just enough gems to get one dock now, maybe another dock later, but not go apeshit, because I've been telling myself as part of my ongoing love-hate relationship with Azur Lane that I'm like, yo, dog, you need to buy less lucky bags. You need to buy less. You don't even look at half these costumes. What's wrong with you?
I don't think I've ever had really necessarily a bad lucky bag, because there's always something I want in the lucky bag.
Oh, no, I'm just I'm just you're spending $30 a pop for 2 costumes. You could be more efficient about this. But that's just me thinking about my spending habits. Because for a little while there, I was buying every lucky bag, and then I'm like, I don't know if I want to just spend $60 or more dollars every month on this just to
Scream Rock.
Get cool costumes. Though there's a live 2D Surcouf costume coming, which is powerful stuff. Okay,
I have killed the Screaming Rock. So yeah, Lucky actually, when Azur Lane had when Azur Lane had the limited costume rerun, I was like, damn it. Because at that point, let's see, I think I still had some gems left over from one of the previous Lucky. Oh yeah, because we had the Skurzo rerun, and they did a lucky bag. So I was like, this is Ironblood shit. Of course I'm getting this. Yep. And of course, when you do the lucky bags, they give you 2,000 gem. It's
yeah, you get a free costume, and then I think I joked about using it for 2 costumes, but it's really 3 or maybe 4 even, depending on.
Yeah, because you get 2,000 something gems. You get a number. And then you usually get maybe some. I think you also get some cubes.
Yes, you get a small infusion of cubes and coins usually, and maybe some other bits and bobs. I think the other rewards might depend on the lucky bag.
Yeah, but so I had gems. So I bought I can't remember. It was one of the Ugly Sisters. It was the Succubus one. I bought the Succubus skin.
We can't pronounce that on our own.
No, because it's Guinnessau and Scharnhorst, and one of them has a Halloween costume, and the other one has
it's the G. She's got the Succubus one.
Okay. So I bought that one, then I had enough for one more, and I was all like, I'll get one for, Graf Spree, and I died again.
Rip.
Yeah. So then I'm out, I think I was out of gems at that point, so I was like, alright, I can't bet anymore, even though there's 7 more Ironblood costumes I don't have, and I cried.
Which I'm sure is the strategy they're going for with rerunning a lot of costumes at once.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
hey,
yeah,
you want my costume?
so what I did is, because the event pool is only light, so it only costs 1, I just threw cubes at the problem until I got Z2. And it only took me 20 cubes, which makes me keck, because that's the amount I would have spent on the event construction pool for a single 10 pool. So I was like, nah.
Usually, yeah.
So I'm like, no, this is fine.
No, it's a pretty decent amount. I've spent, I want to say 20 or 30 and haven't gotten anything out of it that was on event rate up anyway. I've gotten a couple new small stuff in light. But I've decided to stop because there's a new event coming around. And at least according to some translations, I think like off Reddit and something, Shinano, that's right. Trying to remember the order of all the syllables. She's going to have, it sounds like a pity system.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, if you do 200 pulls and you don't get her, you get her.
Oh, interesting. I'm glad for that.
Yeah, because she's got, like, another, like, a low 1% chance or something.
Although I still don't think I have enough cubes for that. I think I have, like, 140 right now.
Yeah, no, I've only got, like, 70 right now-ish. Though, obviously, you will get a decent refund of cubes if you spend a shitload of cubes.
Yeah.
And depending on how long an event takes, you could easily hit that number. They're pretty generous with cubes. But yeah, so it looks like they're doing a lot of stuff, and they have a whole collection of, like I said, they have a whole collection of things. Looks like there's going to be 2 SSRs and 4 SRs added, in addition to Shinano as an SR, or a UR, sorry. Some of them are red.
Oh.
Also, another bit of news they popped is Akashi is getting an Oath skin.
Yeah.
If you're into that.
If you're into money cats.
I'm sure there will be some kind of reference about buying a ring and stuff.
I'm pretty sure there'll be too. Akashi is the fucking animal who, when you commented about making weird them making weird ass tech, that yeah, you're the one that sends people out and
she sassed you about sending kindergartner ships. Also, if those are to be believed, canonically she does spray paint purple boxes gold.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a Juiceagram slide? I'm pretty sure that actually happened.
Yeah,
it's definitely a loading screen, but I think it was also a Juiceagram joke.
Also, Juiceagram is great. I'm always happy when they bring it back.
It's a great feature.
It is a great feature.
Oh, and there's going to be an ultra rare Bullen, it looks like.
Oh, wow. Well, now there will be 3 Bullens.
Bullen Mark III. This one has a hammer.
I have one locked Bullen, the one that has the costume. I always consider that I should probably level her.
You could certainly do it. I should probably do that, too. She can suck up space in commissions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm working on doing my efforts in. I feel like I should, try and do a decent amount of effort into AL. So I'm working on it right now. Oh, hold on. I gotta clean up my dock. We're full. I have many, many trash commons to throw out, and I'm sitting on 1 Bullen. I know a lot of people are wondering, because of the way things are going, if we're going to get another Hololive collab in AL. I'm very interested to see if they do actually do that.
Me too.
Because apparently World of War... So, theoretically, I believe every PR ship release is technically a World of Warships collab. And also, I believe that World of Warships has explicitly collabed with Hololive more than once. So, there's kind of some precedent in the whole community, ethos, whatever you want to call it.
Interesting.
But yeah, I do know that at least, I think it was last week, it was in the past, at least this month, there was a collab stream they did where they played World of Warships anyway. I believe it was Fubuki, Koko, and somebody else. Was it Kanata?
I do not know.
There's a lot of people in Hololive. I only remember most of them. And also some of them I don't feel like are necessarily on YouTube or on clips a lot. But that's a discussion for a second, I think. But yeah, doing my due diligence, but also trying to, save up some cubes, new event, doing new stuff. That'll be fun. Like I said, we'll see if I at least get, Hunter or whatever. If nothing else, doing the... You can work on both at the same time, right? Build up to the 60 clears and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, damn it.
I can at least, do my efforts, try, and we'll see what happens. And if not, well, I did at least try.
Yeah.
Even if I forgot about it. And that's one of those things where I definitely have that kind of... Not like it can't be helped, even though I do like to say the whole nothing could be done. Because there are times when you just gotta kick back and be like, nothing could be done. But I have to look, in it myself and go, well, you know what, Chief? Obviously, it's not actually that important to you because you literally forgot to do it. So, there's your proof.
Yep.
That's just how it is.
The proof is in the pudding, or lack of.
Yeah, there would be no pudding, but we'll see. I've got 3 stars on every map. I think I'm like 6 or 7 clears into SP3. We got a few days left. Hunter is at level 20, so she doesn't immediately keel over in the boss round. So that's good. That gives me double points. The best number of points. I'll be interested to see what they do going forward, because as usual, Azur Lane does a lot of big flashy stuff. Okay, holy shit, hold on. Need to retweet that. That's amazing.
What happened?
It's FGO Ghost of Tsushima crossover fan art. I have just retweeted it.
I will look at it later.
It's pretty cool. I think I'm going to save that. I wonder if it's big enough res for me to turn into a background. Thoughts for later. But yeah, I think that was just the only thing I wanted to bring with Azur Lane, is that I'm continuing to work on the thing and do stuff. Oh, actually, there was another thing I want to remember. I'm down to my final EXP, Combat EXP build-up on Rune. I'm like 15% into that. Nice. And working towards getting some more catch-ups. Boy, howdy, that speed-up system. It's the best. Great. I love it. I'm still using my Ironblood fleet as one of my 2 fleets in the event right now, so I can farm EXP normally. But yeah, we're doing a lot of work to chip away at that. After that, let's see. They're doing a catch-up for... Oh, shoot, which one is it? It's not Izumo. Which one is the one they're doing catch-up for?
I think it is.
Is it Izumo? I don't know. There's a couple of... Trying to remember which PR ship is which is sometimes hard. Like, I know which one San Luis is, and, like Monarch, who I've built already, and, Rune, obviously, is very distinct, but sometimes the ones that are, like, various ones blur together. But they're doing a special thing where you can get some extra... It is Izumo, okay. They're doing some extra thing where you're getting extra bonus blueprints from that, so maybe I'll pivot. I don't know. I got a lot of... unlike Lucky, I'm not hyper-focused in my fleets. I have a lot of options for core fleets that I use to dig through the PRs and stuff. But, yeah, that's, I guess, my Azur Lane report. Let's see. You said you were waiting. Are you doing anything else fun in Azur Lane, or are you just camping out waiting for the new event?
No, I'm just camping out waiting for the new event.
Okay.
Let's see. I guess what I've been putting a lot more effort into, at least for the past couple days, is Arknights. Because we finally got the next contingency contract, and I had to mute our gacha games.
Yep, immediately, yes, that frequently happens. I mean, right now they're a little distracted by being in WebVid, but
yes.
There's a little bit of back and forth talking about Azur Lane stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, there's a oodly boodly of Arknights talk. Though some of it's about new stuff. There's apparently a new operator, Mint, coming out.
That sounds cute.
In JP. She's a caster cat. She's adorable. She refers to Skyfire as her senpai.
That is great.
But yes, Lucky and I think have both talked about this at different points. There are plenty of times when we have to just mute gacha games because during certain events or time periods, people will just go apeshit and post a lot, and it's just too much. I just gotta be like, I need you to shush now. It's why I have WebVid muted right now, because it's going way too fast for me to actually pay attention or read, and it's super distracting otherwise.
Yeah, it really is.
Hey, no, they're excited. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Arknights, Contingency Contract. I'm not as focused on that. I've done some decent runs. I got some points built up, working towards Bybeak, and also though happy to get that Amiya rerun, because I started the game too late to get Amiya's Newsy costume. So I'm glad they're bringing it back. I'll have to definitely pick that up this time. But I bet I haven't been as focused as you, because unfortunately, because I think we talked about this last time Contingency Contract happened, there's no auto battle, so that requires major brain power to operate. You have to look at your screen and make decisions, unlike doing Annihilation runs. So you've been doing it probably more than me, Lucky. How are you finding this Contingency Contract?
I like it. Like, a lot of the missions are, hey, pick two or three of these, the bounties or contracts, and do the map. And I'm like, okay, so I don't have to necessarily, like, they do reward you for picking the big stonkin' contracts, but it's not like immediate. So, like, right now, I've already bought Bybeak and all the additional copies, so I have the P6 Bybeak just sitting at their level 1. And I've also bought all the LMD and XPs out of the shop, because I don't care what people say, I'm going to use those real quick.
Yes, you will definitely use those.
Yes. Now I'm looking at getting the mats and stuff in there, because Lucky's on this constant quest to try and level things. Because You know what happens after the grinding ends, right?
Grinding begins.
That's when the grinding begins. Exactly.
Yeah, I've actually had to work on some, go back and do some lower level chips and stuff because I've realized I have a decent backlog of units. I've been getting a lot of new units, not units on raid ups, but new units who are good, and I'm like, I need to, cap some people, not necessarily E2 them, but push them to their cap at E1 and at least E1 promote them for a few guys. I'm working on, I got both Angelina and Aya Fiala recently, so I'm like, you guys are good, I should make sure to actually start leveling you up. I've got a couple of high-level medics, too, who I'm like, oh, I should probably work on a couple alternatives. Oh, I have no medic chips. So, mats are always good.
Mats are always good.
Yeah, I do. I think I like this formatting slightly better, because this time you kind of unlock them in tiers. So,
yes.
The game gives you rank 1. Here's your basic bitch baby ones. They're worth 1 point. And you could do, all 3 of them at once if you want, but you can also, slowly build up and stuff. And then, once you do so many, you unlock higher tiers where you get more finicky stuff, more weird stuff. Contingency Contract, I think, really exemplifies the trial and error part of Arknights, because you will test out some of these weird modifiers and be like, nope, that doesn't work for me, that's bad, nope. Can't do that one. I think one of the ones on the last rotating map was do it in squad size 6, and I'm like, no, I don't think I like this.
Yep. So yeah. So as I said, I've been doing my trial and error with that. I've with one of them, I realized that I actually might need 2 pullers. So I was all like, well, shit, all I have is rope, and that ain't gonna fly. So I started leveling her. I didn't actually get her done in time for the mission, but it's still good to know. And now I'm working on leveling Cliffheart, so I can have her. And this is one of the things that Contingency Contract does for me. It basically highlights to me where maybe my weaknesses are in things and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So I do appreciate it.
It has spiders, so it reminds me how good a decision to E2 lap was. Fucking spiders. But other than that, no, nothing. I rolled to try and get Bagpipe because I was like, oh shit, 6-star Vanguard. That's awesome. I love 6 stars, and I love Vanguards. Yeah,
but
how did that go for you?
It didn't go very far at all. What Lucky likes to do normally is he likes to roll on new banners. He likes to roll 1 at a time to get the free. Well, to get the guaranteed 5/6 star.
Yep.
I rolled once. I got a 5-star. It was Telopsis, and I was all like, I'm not upset that I got another bird. I'm just like, It was like
Spook City.
Yep. So I'm just like, I was just like, I think I'll just leave it.
Well, for me, I have spent a full tenner and some permits I had lying around. No 6-star spooks yet, but also no Bagpipe. I did get, what's his face name? It's Sass or something. That guy. That was my big 5-star guarantee in there.
Oh, Sessa.
I don't know what he does, but I have a lot of snipers, so I don't know if he'll see action anytime soon. I have enough I need to level. But, I did, get several copies of stuff through things, of Uthage, who's cool. She's neat. I like her.
Mm-hmm.
But no Bagpipe yet, but also I only did a tenner and some permits, so it's not a huge deal.
Again, the thing that I always remember about Arknights is even though they're always going to be in the fucking
with the exception of Neon and W.
They're always going to be in the pool. So if I just patient, I might get spooked.
Oh yeah, so you mean how when I was trying to roll for shoot, it wasn't even. What was the last raid up? It wasn't Neon. What was the one in between that?
COB.
Yes, right. Legion COB. I did, I think, 2 10 pulls in that. That's where I got my Angelina and my Aya Fiala from. So, Spook City, y'all.
Yeah.
Spook City. I
do appreciate it. It's just, like I said, otherwise I wouldn't have my Chin and Mostima.
Yeah, it's just, it gets a little disappointing when you throw a lot of resources at something and you get something completely unrelated. Especially when my previous curse was to get units who are either on the other raid up or have been on raid up recently, and I'm just like, why are you here now, though? Like, that's how I felt about Helliger. I got him at the tail end of my Neon Crisis, and I'm like, dude, you're literally on right up on the other banner. What the fuck, man? Go home.
Go home, Helliger.
But we work with what we got. That's the power of Arknights. You work with what you got. You got stuff. You do things. Like I think there was another like guard unit they premiered who's like a 4-star Lapland. Kind of like does silency type stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, it's cool that they're doing stuff. We'll just have to see how things pan out. But Contingency Contract doesn't have any story other than that I believe it has the exact same cutscene as the first time, which you can't skip, which I was not super thrilled by. But it's on the other hand, it does actually require your brain because you have to think about stuff. It's got the map rotation. It's got the standard map. It's got some other stuff going on. It's fun.
Gotta bring goo.
Yeah, which honestly I'm okay with. I just need to make sure my phone's charged at night so I can sit around and do it. I've been looking for a good solid lying in bed distraction-y type game. And now that I'm like, I can still autopilot stuff if I want to. I can if I'm too tired to think my brains, I can
Oh, that is something they did add. They did add a training ground so you can actually practice on maps.
Yeah, if a map rotates out and you were like, oh, but I didn't perfect it yet, you can plan for next time and stuff. It's a fun feature. They've done some decent quality of life on it.
Yeah,
which is good if this is going to be a recurring theme.
Yes, apparently Contingency Contract was super popular.
Well, mechanic-wise, it's a great system because, like, Arknights is definitely. Well, we've talked about this. The core gameplay loop has a lot of trial and error. It's the Dark Souls of gacha games. But no, you are literally supposed to just fucking play the map, see how it goes, and if you fuck up, try again. Which can sometimes be frustrating and time-consuming if they're a little fucky. Like, well, so I would say this. Event maps tend to, especially higher-level ones, tend to be almost deliberately fucky. Like, they do really weird things, or they come up with new mechanics that are, like, really annoying or shake things up. So you can't just autopilot them. Which is okay, but especially because a lot of these events involve, like, grinding for points and stuff, it doesn't necessarily incentivize you to go through all the trouble. Whereas with the Contingency Contract, because it's kind of a set-your-own challenge, right? It's like playing, like, golf or other things. Like, you're mostly versus yourself. You're trying to see how much higher you can stack that up and see how far you can get. That, I think, is a lot more engaging and a lot less fucky, because you pick what you can do, and you can look at a modifier. It's like choose your own challenge mode. You can look at a modifier and go, there's no way I'm doing that. I did that a lot in the first run where I look at some of those high-level modifiers and I'm like, oh, well, okay, that's just not possible for me. All right, we're going to skip that one. Triple DP cost for ranged. I'm like, no, I don't like the idea of not deploying Exia immediately. That's not goo.
It's not your life.
Well, I've got her to E2. That's pretty critical part of my strat. Is shoot guns, many guns.
Daka.
So I think it's much more dynamic and engaging to the player base because it's not like the game developers are just tormenting you or anything. It's like, no, you kind of pick what you're going for and work with it. And you set your own challenge. And if you can only do the low level stuff, that's why they have the rotation. You can work it out later. And if you can actually find some high level modifiers, there were quite a few mods in the first one where I was actually quite surprised that they were feasible. Like, I think there was one where, like, caster types were expensive, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't, unless you're gonna, like, throw a lot of high-res guys, I don't necessarily need casters. Stuff like that,
Yeah.
Or if they give you big cost for units who are already low cost. But, yeah. So that's Arknights. Let me check that timer. About 30 minutes, okay. So we should probably, since we were already talking about it anyway, and I just derailed because I was talking about me playing Azur Lane, let's talk about the ongoing VTuber hole.
Yeah.
And talk about Hololive English.
Yep.
Which I think, probably for people plugged into the whole Hololive thing, did not come out of nowhere, but I felt like came out of nowhere last week.
I do know that there had been rumors going around and something was in the works, but I never heard anything.
Yes, it was definitely a thing that I think Coco talked about a couple of times about actual, like, proper Hololive English. Which, yeah, at least so far, I've only... So, we should do our full disclosure. By the time this episode is hitting the public, I believe everybody's streams will have done and debuted. They might even have done, like, a collab or something already together. But as of this recording, only... Well, I say only, but I don't know if Shark is done yet or not, but Shark is ongoing, and 3 of them are out. However, obviously, we're recording the show, so we can't go watch somebody stream. That would be weird. And also probably illegal. At least with the recording software setup we have,
Yes.
But I have caught up a little. Lucky, what about you?
Oh, not really. I caught some bits here and there, but Lucky's had a very chill morning. Like I said, I've been more... for those who are not in the know, fucking Washington's on fucking fire right now.
The West Coast in general is on a lot of fire.
Yeah.
It's not great, guys. Everybody stay safe. Everybody watch out.
Like, we had, like, an 80-acre fire, like, less than 100 blocks from where... No, less than 50 blocks. No, actually, less than 30 blocks. Now I think about it. Wapato's on, like, 84th. I'm on, like, 50-something. So, yeah, big fire is happening, and so there's been a lot of concerns about air quality and whatnot. I had to go get, the dog, Buster. He a big boy, but he a good boy. He's also a dumb boy.
By the way, for those of you who don't speak Burgerland, 1 acre is about 4,000 square meters.
Yes. Sorry. I forget about that.
No, it's fair. Honestly, I think there are going to be some people in America who don't actually know what an acre is. They just know it's big.
It's big. It's that big space.
Measurements are fun. But yeah, so you've been dealing with some real life shit and been relaxed, so you haven't caught up. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure, especially because they are in English, it'll be way easier to do highlight clips. I think I've already seen some punch outs from the first couple streams.
Yeah. I will let you know that Lucky has on his own personal channel subscribed to Ina and Calliope. And I'm probably going to subscribe to Ina on our channel as well.
Hey, that's fair. I just haven't got to that stream. I'm already subbed to Calliope. Big spirit animal energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I've skimmed, I say I'm skimming because they're like hour-long streams, and much respect to streamers and all that. We do that. But if you're watching back the archive, you don't have to be there for literally every second. But I have skimmed Calliope Mori's stream. She's great. So I could go into a whole tangent again about the idea of authenticity, but I think, especially in English, this really sells why people actually like VTubers because of that, like I said, that authenticity. Because on the one hand, there's all of the, oh yeah, I'm from, Reaper's Apprentice, from the Underworld, what you know?
Mm-hmm.
I love slaying people. But then there's, her, not knowing if her mic is adjusted, experiencing lag because she had a fog effect on, at one point she name-checked OBS trying to figure out her slides, and I'm just like, this is so real to me right now. I understand this part perfectly. Just, fiddling with technicals and being like, does this work? Does that work? Did I fuck something up? But yeah, so, Calliope's really cool. It's interesting with the naming thing, right? I have to, force myself to say Calliope as her first name because it's listed that way, and I'm like, it's slightly different than how a lot of them do some of this stuff.
Mm.
Though also, shout out to whoever came up with this great pun, in her name. I don't think Calliope's... Well, it might be, because Calliope music is usually considered super creepy, but, Calliope is the name of one of the muses of music. But her surname is Mori. It is written with the kanji for forest. I know this because it's just the kanji for tree 3 times. It's really easy to recognize. But also, it is Latin for death, as in memento mori.
Yes.
So, great pun work there.
Oh, he has to fight a boss.
But, yeah, so I skimmed that stream. I saw most of her stuff, talk about things. She seems great. I understand the vibes perfectly of projecting energy and all that stuff, but also having absolutely no idea what the fuck you're doing. It's great. And I'm currently in the process of skimming, Kiara, the Phoenix, aka the Chickens stream.
This thing is fucking scary, and why is it in my life?
What is it? You're streaming right now, okay.
I'm streaming right now. Oh, it does radiation damage! Oh, yes! Yes, thank you for disseminating. I am in trouble.
Lucky is dying right now.
I am dying right now. I am setting something on fire.
I will say, while I like what I've seen of Kiara, I'm not necessarily as enamored with her as I am with Calliope. She seems alright, but we'll kind of see how it shakes out. I'm not done with the whole thing. I haven't actually watched that stream yet, but our fan base is going absolutely apeshit over Ina.
I do like it. Well, the thing, the fun fact, the thing that caught my eye about Ina first is that her papa is the same artist who did Abby and FGO.
Well, actually, we should mention this because there's a couple things here in FGO.
Oh, yeah,
fan base. So Kiara's papa, her character designer, basically, is Huke, who does Altera's art, most notably in FGO, and does some other major character designs. And like Lucky said, Ina's artist is Hokusai Abigail. All of our tentacle friends in FGO. Shocker, I know. Because she's the tentacle one. And she has an adorable, very Hokusai-esque octopus loading screen.
Yes.
Because I've seen the front end of the stream, I just haven't watched it yet. But in addition to all that, she's apparently a very large sea creature, plays several gacha games and spends lots of money. Though Kiara did shout out that she specifically likes Arknights, and also MMOs. She talked about Final Fantasy XIV. We'll have to see what she does stream-wise later. But also she does like Gunpla. Ina does like Gunpla and stuff, and just generally it sounded like she hit a lot of hobbies that are near and dear to our community's heart. And
yes, a lot of people were saying one of us.
Yes, I'm assuming she probably explicitly name dropped FGO as one of the games she plays. Now, if only we could get her to watch Let's Talk FGO. No. We'll save our fucking deep-ass conspiracy theories for later. Though, obviously, if there are any VTubers of any sort, well, I wouldn't be listening to this. Nobody watches the What's Up. I'm kidding. Thank you so much for listening to What's Up and watching it. We're way more likely to get a pop on Let's Talk FGO.
We are.
Maybe we'll do it as a shout-out next week. Just, throw it to people out there. And then, I don't really know, but I believe some people have been talking about Shark. What's her... Is it Guar?
Guar.
That's not going to be awkward. Whatever, I'll watch the stream back later. So they're working on that. I have seen in the chat archive that Amelia Watson has been camping out in chat of some of her fellow Hololive ENs. I think she's going to be the last one. But yeah, it's really interesting to see. At least from listening, it definitely sounds like they're doing, well, what you'd expect, but they're doing, like, they do actually, while they are bilingual, and actually I think Kiara said she's trilingual, she speaks German as well. But it, at least the ones I've listened to, maybe Kiara seems to have a bit of a strange accent, but also if she's trilingual, I don't know where the hell she's been growing up. As a real person, I know she's an immortal phoenix and whatnot. By the way, that's another weird thing. Watching these in English, because we usually watch clips, right, which are translated, which are generally once the girls, I think, in Hololive get into a couple streams and stuff, while there are some little bits of characterization, mostly they're just them, or at least while they're in character, they're not necessarily weird about it. But watching the debuts are really big on the, I'm the first apprentice to the Grim Reaper, I'm from the underworld. Also, I do raps, and then, Kiara's like, I am Big Phoenix. I will never die. Phoenix noises. I am eternal.
Phoenix noises.
She does actually introduce herself by doing, like, was it like Kiki Karin or something? She, like, makes a very Japanese sound. But it's very interesting to see them being so extra and, like, on-brand on the character stuff, because obviously VTubers have a hook in their character. It lets them do fun character designs and stuff, but when they're doing, like, gameplays or even chats, a lot of that kind of goes down a little, except for maybe casual mentions.
Yeah.
So it is really interesting to see that up front and center in English. But at least, like I said, Calliope sounds like a very natural English speaker. So I'm assuming they got, native English speakers, because one of their suggested streams that's coming up is they're going to do Japanese lessons. So I'm going to guess they got native English speakers who are at least passable with Japanese to actually do that stuff.
Neat.
Which I think is probably the right way to do it. No offense to the Japanese, but several of the core JP Hololive girls vaguely speak English. Vaguely. And some of them are better than others, but there can definitely be a little bit of like disconnect and stuff.
Well, sometimes I find it endearing and cute. Sometimes
it's good, but it's for something that's going to be, it seems like, majority in English. Like, a lot of them would read their lines in English first and then do a Japanese, translation. Like, occasionally they would veer off in a different language, but it's it can kind of cut both ways. I would say starting with a native speaker is probably a better idea. And if they're not native speakers, they're very good. Like I said, Calliope sounds very natural. Yeah.
No.
Oh, and also I believe, I think Ina said she wants to do tabletop streams. With I presume with the EN girls, but possibly with others. They've been talking about collabing with stuff. Apparently, Kiara's favorite senpai is Pekora, which is hilarious. No, Lucky, you're not doing it right. It's got to be ha 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 ha. Somebody draw arrows everywhere. I still don't understand why we do the arrows, but it's part of the joke. Pekora been strongly growing on me for her ludicrousness. High level Pekora moments.
Mm-hmm.
Though, because she did a collab on the shitposting stream, I've been seeing some more clips of Watame, and I'm starting to like her a lot. That's the sheep.
What a time we live in.
Yeah, it's we live in interesting times, and you can see a lot of different stuff. Honestly, like, there's so many freaking... Like I said, there's so many people in the agency, stable, whatever you want to call it, of Hololive. You can find a lot of different stuff. And obviously, we are partially driven by what... Because, like you said earlier, we watch clips mostly. Even though they're in English, I am literally skimming. Like, I will skip segments or cut out bits and fast forward through streams of the English-speaking ones. God forbid me watching, like, Coco play Arc for 8 hours, mostly in Japanese, or whatever. No, I don't got time for that. Some people do, but that's not where my life is at right now.
Real talk, any Hololive girls out there listening to this, we really appreciate the work you do. You work hard, but we ain't got time for that.
No, and we understand, too. We're content creators. We stream sometimes, and we accept that, people can't be there for everything.
A lot of times people pop out of my streams. I'm like, all right, no, go do life. Life is important.
Where they're like, oh, hold on, I gotta go, like, eat, or gotta go do some stuff, or, sorry, they hang on for an hour, and they're like, sorry, I gotta leave, gotta go to work. I'm like, hey, whatever. You showed up for a little bit, that's fine. We understand. That's kind of the benefit of streams, I guess, is the ability to, like, drop in and out. But yeah, no, it's when you're active doing your own project, it can be a pain in the butt to kind of, like, do your own stuff. And also, like I said, because there's so many, it's very hard to catch. It would be very hard to catch everybody live all the time anyway, just because you got so much stuff. Let alone when we're like, yeah, we literally can't. Well, we could have just. So it's not maybe literal, but figuratively, we can't just sit down and watch, like, Ina or Guar, because we're recording our show right now that goes out to our audience.
Yeah, we were wondering, it's like, we could, but they're going to be, like, debuting all day. It's like, fuck it. Just fuck it.
Nah, I'm already playing catch-up, because a couple of them debuted at, like, 7 a.m. or whatever. I think Calliope started, like, early in the day.
Yes.
Which, no problem with that. Technically, I was awake at 7 a.m. I was trying not to be, though. That's about when I went to sleep. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Sleep's in a weird zone right now, but I'm trying to do stuff, which is sleep. But sometimes it doesn't work, so who cares? Whatever. We set our own schedules. I'm self-employed. What am I going to yell at myself for not posting the episode earlier because I woke up at, like, 3? I didn't actually, by the way. 2 p.m. as a wake-up might be late to some people, but I did not get my full 8 hours, I don't think, so whatever. You wake up when you wakes up, you do the thing when you do the thing. Stuff happens. The episode, I think, Let's Talk FGO has been popped out. I do believe it's doing okay. Let me check the studio. I believe it's number 1 right now. Dropped a little below that one. That's a little concerning. I hope it does better, but also people could be distracted by other stuff, because last week's episode wasn't super big. It didn't even break 2K, and I'm hoping that all this shenanigans will be a big deal, but also the event hasn't actually popped yet, so I don't know if people are looking for it yet. Search engine optimization and all that stuff, accounting for what people will want to do is great. Though, since I did just check, we have at least for now hit 2,800 subs. That's cool. We were working towards that one pretty steadily for a while, but I'm glad to see it actually pop for us right now. So hey, pachi pachi.
Pachi, 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 pachi.
We're not any of those Hololive girls who got their frickin' silver play button before they ever debuted an episode or anything, but we're doing good.
Oh my god.
Crazy stuff.
I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of them broke 100K before they streamed. Same on Twitter, too.
Yeah, that's the power of having an agency and a hype machine, right? To be like, hey, we're starting a new channel. These are our, you got character designs and all that to show up.
Yep.
Obviously, because I've talked about authenticity, right? Like, I don't want to talk down to any of these girls doing the stuff. Like, they're doing the work. And obviously they bring the personality. They're the ones streaming for 8 hours or whatever. That was a pretty funny highlight clip I saw where, like, Coco was streaming for a long time and, like, Kanata brought her, like, tea and breakfast and stuff. Adorable.
Adorable. I love the concept.
The fact that they are backed by a, I assume, ginormous agency who is probably taking a decent cut of their profit, though hopefully not too much, because at least super chat wise, VTubers are like the highest paid YouTubers.
The world loves idols.
Yes. Well, and especially when they're not necessarily idol-like idols. Like, I think Coco's the #1 super chatter, and her persona is deliberately being very un-idol-like. You know, trying to get Watame and others to say motherfucker and stuff. Though I will say, while some of them avoided it so far, I have heard the English girls cuss a little bit, very naturally, just because we're on the internet, and occasionally you slip a fuck in there. But there's definitely something to be said, like I said, when you have that huge agency behind you, and you're like, hey, character designs, ooh, somebody's, making sure your social media is set up, ooh, and running your ad blitz and making sure everybody's coordinated, because especially since we're still in our current Backstreet Boys reunion tour thing, I'm sure that it's not necessarily easy for a lot of these people to, like, physically coordinate. It's not like they could share and plan resources too hard, other than just normal internet stuff. Though I do believe that much like everybody else these days, Hololive uses the shit out of Discord. It's great. It's a great tool. We're recording on Discord right now.
Yep.
But there's a lot of support and tech angle that goes in there, which we know a thing or two about tech and fiddling with it. But you can do all kinds of stuff, and like I said, I don't want to downplay their success on their own, but it's definitely interesting to see when you literally haven't premiered yet, like, that's just hype for the brand, basically, right? Like, you can look at a character design and be like, oh, the tentacle one, that's adorable. Or the shark one especially, very memey. I'm like, I want to see this one, but you don't know shit yet until it actually premieres. So it's very interesting to kind of see that stuff balloon up. And maybe it's because I don't travel in the right circles, but I don't really see, unlike some success stories, I don't really see a lot of butthurt about it either.
No, not really.
Yeah, okay. We talked for about VTubers and Hololive for about 30 minutes as well.
Neat.
We will probably have more to say about EN and stuff later once we can digest some clips and once, all the debut streams are out, and presumably they also make actual regular streams or videos. People are just discussing how fiery the West Coast is right now in general in chat.
It is.
It is a high degree of on fire. There's a yawn. There's a sleepy mega.
Sleepy mega.
You might ask, are you sleepy already? And then I'm like, did I ever stop being sleepy? But, okie dokers. Let's see. Speaking of channel stuff, we should shout out, if you haven't seen it, though it's entirely possible that at 200 views, that video will do better than this one. I don't know, though. I think, while some of our past couple What's Up have been a little smaller than usual, they're not necessarily do worse than that. But, we released a, highlight reel of us playing Among Us.
Yep.
Lucky did the bulk of work on that. But, it's done pretty good, got some pretty positive receivement.
Yeah.
A few comments. Do you want to talk about the kind of process behind that at all?
Let's see here. Think about a process. Alright, I should actually stop playing because I actually have to use my words.
Word brain.
So, when I went about making the highlights, I had to think, okay, so what's entertaining about Among Us? It's 1, the discussions and people yelling at each other. 2, surprise deaths. And 3, surprise killings. So I basically went on my way to basically cut that all off. The problem is that I quickly realized is I only have one perspective to get from, and that's my own.
Yeah, so, somebody very casually said, oh, you should put all the other perspectives, and I'm like, that would require us to have everybody else's perspective, which is really fucking hard, by the way, especially because we're playing with the community who probably don't have professional video capture setups or whatever.
Yeah.
Or even amateur video capture setups.
Well, like, to be fair, all I used was OBS. That's all I used.
No, I mean, and some people can do that, but some people can't do that. Like, I couldn't run that on my last machine. It was weird.
Yeah, and
but it's just, that adds a whole other aspect to the thing, and then you'd also have to sync everything up, probably.
I have to sync everything up, and I'd have to get the data from other people. And as I said, I recorded, like, actually, let me pull up.
You got the raw?
I still should have the raw. Hang on here.
Okay, so while you're looking up the raw, I can tell everybody that whatever number he says, Lucky compressed that down to 55 minutes and 8 seconds. And that's with no, as far as I know, no proper, there's no intro and no outro slates or anything. Yeah. There's no, like, shoutouts or anything. We're playing Among Us one night, and Lucky was like, should I record this? And we were like, yeah, sure, give it a try.
Okay, so here we go. So I got the details. Okay, so it's 1.82 gigabytes. And it's 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 16 seconds.
So you trimmed out about an hour.
Yeah. And even then, like, I tried not to focus on fat things. What I like to do is I like to put me doing random tasks, or maybe if I did a task entertainingly. Like, literally, there was no reason for me to put in me failing constantly at swiping my badge, but it made me giggle, so it's like, maybe I'll make other people giggle.
It made me laugh, because it's very relatable, because the card swipe one is notoriously tricky, especially on desktop.
Yeah. So, if I was to get other people's perspective, they would each have to send me some way, because, let me tell you right now, there's not a lot of ways you can send fucking multiple gigs of data.
Yeah, that's like Mega or Dropbox and shit.
Yeah. And then I would have to basically take their 1 hour 50 and go through it, clip things out, and add it. Because Lucky didn't sleep on the project. He worked on it at a fairly reasonable pace, and it still took him like 3 days.
Yep.
To get it all done. And at the end of it, I was just so done with it. It's like, Omega, can I post this? Are you going to want to do some Patreon? He's like, nah, you got it. I was like, good, it's gone.
Yeah, I thought about doing it as a Patreon exclusive, but I'm like, nah, this is a test. Let's just float it out to public. I'm already working on a video that'll go out to patrons first. Yeah. So we'll just slide that one in.
Yeah, and as I said, we didn't get like it didn't become our main video. It only got about let's check 200 views. But that's a little fair. That's a fair bit for a minute. So it's enough to encourage me to do again. But yeah, so I took highlights. I basically took kills. I took the discussions. I've definitely decided that next time I decide to recording, I will be laying down ground rules for everybody that has to follow. Like, for example, everyone has to talk. Everyone has to talk. Everyone has to have
the text. Like, literally, there were, because I was obviously in the game. Literally, there were times when we were discussing about what people were typing. Mm-hmm. But like, not necessarily, you didn't necessarily look at them or the thing didn't pop. So like,
yeah,
in the video version, and that's just, hey, well, you can't, because that's just, they were visual only.
Yep. Yeah, everyone has to have mics, and everyone has to have decent mic quality. There was a little bit of fucky events on my end, because I had different people at different sound levels.
Yeah, I noticed that I peaked a little bit.
Yeah. That's because I usually have you at max level.
That's probably because normally I'm I would say I'm decently relaxed, not necessarily soft-spoken, but I don't necessarily get super loud either. I definitely get a little yelly in Among Us at times.
Yeah, you do. And I don't know, like, last time we played, because we played again after that, I did not record at that time, and I was like, nah, this is not the time for recording.
No, and because well, first of all, to your first rule, we had a couple of people without mics again.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people rotating in and out.
Mm-hmm. Well, that really doesn't bother me either, because...
No, but it did make the process a little finicky. Like, there was a round I had to sit out because I didn't rotate out, go to refresh fast enough, and people were, even though I'm pretty sure we'd firmly established we had 10 people were slamming that code to slip in.
Yeah.
I will admit, I was almost done for the night, because I don't want to say that I'm impatient. I can be pretty patient about some things, but I did not have the patience that evening to sit there and literally try and, like, hammer in the code to slip in, and it's not like I could, like, wait for the perfect round, because then I'm waiting mostly in silence, because we enforce... Unlike a lot of people you may see posting clips now, we enforce the actual silence rule, because that definitely makes the game flow better.
Mm-hmm.
Though obviously that can lead to very quiet sections of the highlights video. But I was like, yeah, I don't know, I think I might have to go, because I can't, like, literally sit here and wait for my opportunity to, like, sneak back in. But I got up and did some other stuff, and luckily timing worked out to, like, get me back in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just as the round ended.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little sassy because I got kicked out and didn't get back in, and there was like, it's weird. I don't know why everybody wants to like, I know you do eventually get kicked out, but I feel like some people really want to try and start those rounds very rapidly.
Yeah, they do.
Like, we were in the new round before I had like a whole minute even to say, yeah, I'm not in anymore, guys. And there was no discussion about, well, do we want to like get Omega back in? It was just like, oh, the new round's starting, I guess. Okay. So yeah, I was a little sassy about that part. But yeah, no, people like to get Among Us going fast, and sometimes it's like, whoa, hold on. We were still talking about the last round. Hold on. Some people haven't even got back in.
We have jokes.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so you were talking about that previous round and like some of your other ideas for future highlights.
Yeah, and talking about the new round though, things got a little spicy, because some people, I do this too sometimes, just sometimes make a vote based on whatever they're feeling at the moment, and some people don't like that, especially when it gets them yeeted.
Yeah, and I will say this, I got a little spicy about it because I was dying a lot first and not being imposter, and I was like, I basically at one point said, okay guys, I need you to relax a little. Like, I was a little too teed off to like articulate this cleanly, but I was like, I need you guys to like focus up a little and not like take this seriously, but put a little bit of effort into the discussion process, because it's not helping me or any of the other spooky ghosts when you guys are just like, I don't have any evidence, so we're gonna throw Robin off the boat. I'm like, okay, but it's not him. Shockingly, it's almost never Robin when people think it's Robin. When Robin is the Robin who does our time codes and is a community member.
He's just a creepy fuck, though. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, and we've talked about that, where he was like, what can I do to get yeeted less? And several people were like, well, you stalk people a lot, even when you're innocent, and it's a little weird. It makes you look sus.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Robin is the imposter, usually anybody who witnessed his creepy behavior is dead, so he just flies under the radar. He's just super relaxed all the time. And then it's when he's not that it's like, I don't know, Robin's being sus.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So yeah, usually my instinct is Robin's being sus, yeet him off. And he got a bit upset about that. And I'm just like, you're the one acting creepy and suspicious and stalkery. And that's why Omega had to be like, all right, no more judgment calls. And then I got sassy with that. So I do think I do want to maybe next time I do a recording be like, all right, it's all like you trust your instincts, but no just yeeting people to yeet people.
Yeah, and also at some point because we talked about this several times on stream. Also, I was like, also don't like vote for yourself as a joke. You'll get yourself accidentally killed.
Yeah, that
because some people will quietly vote for who they think it is, and if you get too deep in that, you're dead for no reason.
Yep.
So watch out.
That happened to Lucky.
Yeah, that happened once to you. I think that got Loth at least once.
Did it happen to Dallas too?
I think it might have got Dallas at one point, yeah. Or at the very least, Dallas voted for himself occasionally. Like, obviously, if you're very clearly the imposter, you've been got. You can go ahead and vote for yourself. I think there was one time the last time we played, the one round I actually got to be imposter. We played like 20 games, and I was only imposter once. And I didn't win, because I don't know if we should make a rule about it, but just the general observation that when you guys adopt the buddy system, that sucks. Like, that makes it really hard for one imposter to do anything if people group up. If you have two imposters, it works out okay, but with one, it's really rough. But so I was the one imposter, and I was like, because we.
Oh, Robin's gonna hate that rule. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because that's all he does. He picks one person and he follows them around.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's a hard and fast rule, but just like an observation that like, if you guys deliberately buddy up, it makes it really hard. But no, when it was like, I got a couple kills, people were sussing me, but they couldn't get it enough. And then so they all just grouped up and we're going to finish their tasks. So I set up some stuff and then I just popped out of event, 8 Loth. And then I reported my own body and I was like, it was me, Austin. It was me all along. Because there are times when you're the imposter and you know the jig is up, you just got to go out swinging. And so I voted, usually I think the imposter usually votes for themselves rather than like does a weird skip or anything. That's fine. It's just that, like, it's mostly because, like I said earlier when I was talking about the being careful about just, eating people for no reason. I don't want to make it like be super serious or like, competitive Among Us. No, it's Among Us is fun when there's that suspicion and that going around, and sometimes when there's like spooky ghost noises. Angry ghost sounds, etc. But especially if we're going to be recording, I would like there to be a certain amount of, like, focus and, like, actually paying attention and stuff to, like, what's going on. Because there was a time when we talked about the be careful about the guts where, well, you were an imposter, so I was a little, as a ghost, I was a little sassy about this. But I had to, like, Spooky Ghost come in and be like, no, but seriously, if they don't vote somebody out, usually we do the ghost voices like, ooh. But it was like, no, if they don't try to vote somebody out, the innocents lose, so they should at least try and make a deduction.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, because I was telling people they couldn't make a gut judgment, they had to have evidence, and they couldn't do anything. So...
Yeah, which, again, that's why I, as a ghost, stepped in, because I'm like, alright, I feel like as an imposter, you're abusing my earlier statements and my agita.
Maybe.
To try and get away with it. Because this is the thing I've noticed, especially this comes out when following you, because you were the viewpoint camera, so, as the imposter, sometimes you still get, you'll get lost or get confused because you're not actually doing your tasks right. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of funny. But when it comes time to talk, your pro strat is deflection. Like, you will just shift blame onto somebody else. Oh, I didn't do that. Somebody else did that. That guy did that, you know? Mm-hmm. I've also observed that while following you as a ghost when you're the imposter, and I know it's you, usually because you killed me. So that's an interesting aspect, right, in the deflection. So I'm like, that's definitely a you-type move. But that is a thing where I don't know if we would play with more experienced players or not to, like, make sure everybody understands kind of the stuff, because we had that actually came up in the highlights. We had a round lost because, I'm pretty sure we probably did mention that, imposters can fix their own sabotage. It was probably like something like, yeah, so saboteurs can't do tasks.
Oh, no. Actually, on that, I actually did remember you did explain that, but it was like a fucking week ago.
Well, yeah, it was a while ago, and it was probably just a single statement, so I'm like, no, thinking back on it, like, after that round ended, because I was spicy because I was dead and was pretty sure about who it was, but, again, I was like, yeah, no, we probably didn't emphasize that at all, so I'm like, no, it's no weirdness that you've forgotten the weird specific rules. We've played a decent amount, but we haven't played, like, a lot. But, like, I want to make sure everybody understands how to catch imposters, basically. Like, what they do that's sus, you know, and also that everybody knows the keyboard shortcuts, because that's really handy for, like, speed and stuff. I've seen some people playing the game, and they're like, not us, but I've seen people playing the game on, like, YouTube videos, where, like, they're struggling to, like, report bodies and stuff, and it's like, yeah, no, you can just hit R to report, etc. Which, by the way, Among Us pro tip, if you didn't know that. But I would like to, like, do some prefacing and, like, make sure everybody understands the general rules, and some of our rules of conduct, like, you know, the silencing, the deafening and muting and stuff, you know, ghosts can technically unmute, but we usually, Axe, think to yourself. I've been killed. Why wouldn't I be angry? Usually I'm killed in the middle of doing something, too. Which is the other thing. Like, I think we had several, maps you recorded where people, like, got killed in the middle of, like, scans and stuff.
Yeah. I don't usually get mad if I'm killed, but if I was middle of doing something and now I have to do that thing over again, I'm a little spicy. I'm not gonna lie.
Or when it's like, Axe, don't talk to me about understanding and empathy. You're bad at that. Why don't you try and sass me about that? I understand that that's what they're doing, right? It's just usually it's like, they get to pick their moments, right? Like, I got murdered at least once, like, literally on the tail end of my medical scanner, and, and I had to do it again as a ghost, and I was like, you couldn't have waited one more minute? You had to kill me before I actually finished? Alright, thanks.
Like, in the highlights, there's a moment where I'm filling up the ship. It's the first time I ever done this, by the way, so I didn't know how it worked. And I got killed, and you see me for a while, don't move, because that point, the Lucky just leaned back, and it was just all like...
Yeah, because there are some tasks that take a lot of time, or take a lot of concentration. They usually save them, like, the Simon Says one, start the reactor. If you actually leave that to, like, go do an emergency or something, it saves your progress.
Yeah, but if you mess up once, it resets.
Yeah, but if you mess up, it says up.
Yeah, because that's what happened to me. Once I had to do the Simon Says, I got all the way to 4. We had an emergency. I went back. I didn't remember the fucking combo, so it didn't. I was like, shit. That one time I messed it up, so...
Yeah, no, there's some stuff like that. Also, yes, people talk about the constantly getting killed first, which I would say that's probably something we should be like, and also don't like meme on people by killing them first all the time. That is kind of a little griefy, but also sometimes you can't pick who dies, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Like, I think Robin even said that in the thing. Robin was the imposter for, like, the first time in a while, and was like, Dallas, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to kill you first, but I did. Because you were the opportunity. I'm like... And I think that's what Axe is kind of talking about, like, imposters have to win. Sometimes you have to be like, okay, well, they're just doing the move, right? They're just doing the thing they need to do. But there are definitely people can get a little spicy, people can get a little revengey. I think I will treat Among Us kind of like how we treat other hidden role games, like Werewolf or Coup. You gotta be careful how many rounds you do before you start rotating stuff up and listening. I think a thing we tried last time that worked out really well was the short kill distances. Because I got like telekilled or killed from outside of line of sight a couple of times, and I was just like, should we make that different? And we tried shorter, and actually I think I like it a lot better. Mm-hmm. It does make it harder for the imposters, but it definitely like kind of adds the challenge too, especially when we had double imposters a lot for that night. Because 2 imposters is rough. That usually goes by very fast. Like if they're doing good, by the time somebody first reports a body or call a meeting, half the people might be dead already. Like you might already have 4 corpses.
You gotta master the double kill.
The double kill is a powerful move. And I think the only thing we got going for that is that there's still no open communication, right? Like I think they can TeamSpeak through their tablets, like text-wise, but that requires you to like stop and type, which is suspicious, and I'm not sure that works. So don't quote me on that.
Because I was going to try and type to Dallas because we both had the red text one point, but I think his text was showing up to other people too. So
yeah, I don't know if that's a thing. So while having 2 is better, you have to like, it's just like when you're trying to communicate that, oh, I'm going to go to the medbay and get scanned, which is a crewmate only animation. Only crewmates can actually do tasks, so only they get certain animations.
Like shooting guns, med scan. I don't know if there's any other ones that particularly have animations.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the combination of those.
Yeah.
But they have external animations that play, so you can know those people are safe.
Yeah. A lot of times when we were doing the fucking airship one a lot for a while, and right off the launch bay there's a med scan, so people would stop there and everyone would stop and look. We're like, all right, who's getting med scanned?
And occasionally people get murdered in there. Yeah,
Marth did the fucking power move in there once and almost got away with it.
Yeah, that was my imposter round. He got immediately, but he started the killing, so that threw some shade off me. But that was the round I also had to lose at. I know it's good, but still, like communicating, you have a med scan. Like I usually do like a little dance. It's the same thing for like when you're a traitor and you're trying to like let people know. The vent dance is a common one, just taunting people with vents. You gotta be careful though. Occasionally, an imposter will pop out of that vent and just kill you.
I think one of my favorite moments in the highlight is, because it's me tooting my own damn horn, is the scene where I'm venting around. It's Mega and someone else in the fucking reactor room. An alert goes out. One of them leaves. I'm like, now is the time. And just grab him. I'm like, yes, I love this. Again, Among Us is that game that I like. I think I've mentioned this before. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. But that turned out, like, no, I enjoy being a crewmate and I enjoy being the imposter.
Yeah, I think both are fun, because as a crewmate, your tasks keep, like, you gotta move around, you gotta think about where you're going, and you gotta actually do little games, you gotta focus on, and then people are just getting killed. Yeah. And then you gotta deal with that. And they do the ghost thing very well. When you're dead, you can still complete your tasks, and you can honestly complete them faster, because you can just go anywhere and walls don't stop you. The only thing you can't do is you cannot report bodies.
Nope.
And you cannot fix sabotage.
Nope.
As a converse, I believe it's kind of fair though that traders can fix sabotage, because I think that was the thing that fucked me over a little bit. You got to be careful with your ghost trader buddy. If your trader buddy gets yeeted early, they will usually often do sabotage, which sometimes is not the sabotage you want to do.
Yeah, I think I might have been able to win the final round if I had been able to smash the lights. Because let me tell you, when lights are off, you can't see shit.
Yes, so the lights is a real power move. And I think I talked about that where I started getting sus of Dallas, because Dallas has had a very heavy strat to Dallas, one of our community members and mods. Dallas was very frequently would immediately go apeshit and turn out the lights, like right away. Because as Lucky said, your POV when the lights are off is short. Like you literally can only see a few pixels away from you. And to see another person, you have to be right on top of them, which means you are very, very likely to get dead. So turning out the lights is a great way to get stealth kills. It's also annoying as hell for just walking around because you can't see shit. So it's a good way to get people up to go fix them. Though I do notice occasionally people will just be like, lights aren't important, fuck off. But that's a real move, yeah, with the lights. But so traders want to do it. I don't remember that round very well, but I'm assuming that was like Loth did something else, and you were like, "But I wanted the lights."
I can't remember who it was, but yeah, it was one of the double trader rounds, and it was the one where this is something I have decided. No matter what I do, crewmare, I'm just gonna start following Robin around because apparently Robin is the one who knows fucking everything. And
Robin is pretty experienced at tasks, some of which are easier because Robin has to play on his phone, which might be why. But I know that Robin literally will finish tasks like before everybody else does and start playing detective. There are also actually every map has features that let you like do detection. Like on the map we did in the highlights, Polis, you can check the security cameras, which are very visibly marked. By the way, if you're the imposter, you can know somebody's looking through a camera if it's got a blinking red light. There's the admin, which shows you what areas everybody's in, so you can like if you're watching really close, you might see people disappear from an area and reappear somewhere else, aka event. But usually it's just to be like, oh hey, I just happened to see two people up in oxygen, and then only one person in oxygen. And now there's a corpse in oxygen, kind of thing. But it doesn't tell you who is where. And then there is the vitals, which lets you know when there's a corpse. I feel like vitals is kind of a double-edged sword, because sometimes it's good to go like, oh shit, like, 2 people are dead, and we haven't found any of them. But other times people will look at vitals and go call an emergency meeting without figuring out where the body is, and I'm just like, well, I don't have any information. I don't know where anybody died. But there are some things you can do to play detective, and I think when Robin is not murdering us all, Robin enjoys that part of it. Which I will say the same thing, like, well, I mean, I've talked about this before, I'm a criminal justice major, so yes, doing the fucking crime stuff is right up in there. And I actually do like to gather evidence and do interrogation. I've definitely feel like I've moderated some of the meetings where I've been like, because, again, we play with the actual silence rule. We usually deafen and mute, at the very least definitely mute our mics, internally or externally, when we do the actual play section. So, sometimes people want to talk about stuff that's not important, or stuff that got interrupted in before the round started. But I will usually be like, okay, wait, no, everybody, hold on. Shush, pause a second. Person who reported the body, tell me where you found that body and how you found it.
Yep, that's always the first thing to get out. So yeah, so again, I think I'll be writing down some basic rules. I'm hoping not to, rules lawyer people into
No,
stuff,
like I said earlier, we don't want to rob anybody of fun, but especially if we're recording for the specific of publishing, we probably want to make sure that we have a certain style and ethos going in, you know? Like, we want to have a certain presentation, so we want good, clean rounds. We don't want anybody to get any weird griefing. We want to try to avoid, actually making people angry.
Yeah.
It's all in good fun, kind of a relaxed sort of fun. And now, also, so some of this I thought was very unreasonable from people.
What?
Well, so people were, when you posted a test video first of your first version of it. Some people were crazy ape shit. I think because they didn't realize how much footage you had, because it was just the 15-minute bit, and they were like, oh, maybe you should add fucking funny memes and sound effects and Simpson clips. And I'm like, all right, guys, calm down. This is just our first test. And also, I knew obviously you had a lot of footage, so I was like, okay, do you want this video to come out sometime this year? But definitely, I think you talked about doing some more stuff to punch it up a little bit.
I'll make the return of Editor Lucky commentary.
Editor Lucky, a powerful, powerful creature.
Something that Loth actually just suggested, I actually remember this one, is we saw this in the, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Kiev video, where he added color text to when people are speaking, so people know who was speaking and when. I was like, that's more text work, but that might be good.
Yeah, doing baked-in subs or captions, especially, we've talked about how...
Kai F, or is it... Oh, sorry, Max is given pronunciation guides.
Kaif.
Kaif.
I think it's how Dallas says it.
I think it's how he says it, too. And I'm willing to believe, Kaif, there we go. Sword! But, I saw him doing it on his video, and I was like, that seems like something that's doable. It's going to take me a little bit longer, but as I said, if I'm going to be putting Editor Lucky commentary, it's going to be longer anyway.
Yeah, and it definitely feels like that's a good thing to do so that you can like make sure to catch everybody and like, you know, make sure you can hear them all, and like especially if they do important text, right? Like if they're saying something important to actually keep stuff up. Well, I mean, YouTube does auto-transcribing, which is usually freakishly accurate. It just might be, we might say some weird stuff. It's, you know, it's like talking to Google. But it helps us a little bit, and definitely the thing to do is identify people are speaking. There are people who get us confused, even though we don't sound anything alike.
Yeah. People have said that might be a bit that Lucky likes to speak in the third person, like half the time. We both
like to speak in the third person. Well, I don't know if maybe not like, but we do it a lot. Omega does it a lot. But that's why I start every show with I am Omega, and then I go, that guy's Lucky, and Lucky usually says hi, hello, or does his whole intro bit. So hopefully that's supposed to help everybody clearly define who's whom. But yes, especially if we have community members with different stuff, and the various colors. Also, occasionally people do weird dumb names. Like I think last time we played, this wasn't recorded, but well, the time we did record, wasn't Robin's name The Change?
Yes.
Which Robin did admit. He did say, that's my bad, I meant to actually fix that, but I did not. But last time we played, he was innocent. Stuff like that. So it's like, okay, sometimes that can be confusing. We gotta color code everybody. And usually everybody has a color they pick. Like I am red, Lucky is purple, etc., etc. We also tend to stick to the same outfits and hats that sometimes people change. We do occasionally make people wear the Dum Dum sticker.
Lucky had to wear the Dum Dum sticker last time, actually.
Several people have had to wear the sticker. Usually the sticker is for just when you either goof up a deduction or something real hard at the end, where it's just like, okay.
If I remember correctly, I had to wear the Dum Dum sticker because I was for sure it was Law. And Law said, if you're wrong, are you willing to wear the Dum Dum sticker? And I was like, yes.
And then Loth got thrown off the bus.
Yep, and Lucky was wrong. So he's like, it is time for a sticker.
It happens. I don't think I've ever had to wear the sticker, but that's usually because I gotta be honest, I know we talk about like Dallas dying first or Robin dying first. I'm usually dead second. So usually by the time we get to the final deduction, I'm usually a corpse. I'm usually a ghostman.
Surprisingly,
I don't know if it's just because I'm not sus. You usually live. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know either.
But unfortunately, that is why sometimes you get the dumb sticker, because you're usually down to the end, and sometimes you have no idea what. Like, and I say you. This is the general you, plural you.
Yeah.
You all have no idea who the fuck it is or what's going on, because it is really possible to just be in your own little world. Especially last time we played at, I think it's Mirror HQ is the floating one. Yeah, because Polis is the ground map, Mirror HQ is the flying one, and have we ever played with you on this big space map?
No.
Next time we play, we should do that just to get some reps in.
Yeah, okay.
That map is, I think, more wide open for imposters, because it's like Polis, where like everything's connected, but there's no outside. But also the vents, I think, all hook up eventually.
Oh shit!
So you can vent further, much like how in Mira HQ you can vent a lot. But it's got mostly it's just big and complex. So I don't know if I recommend it for a lot of new stuff, but it is the first map, so I do see a lot of people playing it. But we can try it out. I actually, my very first game of Among Us I played, I was the imposter, and we played on that map, and I won, because I did, I think, oxygen sabotage. And people just didn't know what to do, because we were all so new.
That's wild.
Yeah. But, yeah, we should try that map out. But, in Mira HQ, like, everything is it's very linear, and everything is very clearly defined. So, like, if you've got, like, we usually bump up the tasks a little bit, especially if we have more players to give the imposters enough time. I think it's been a while since we had the imposters actually get timed out on tasks. Usually they get desperate and do a dumb kill before we do that.
We've won on tasks, I think, like, once.
Yeah, it's not very frequent, so I think our task balance is decent. Maybe we could only go with one long task, I'm not sure.
The standard is one long, two short, two common, if I remember correct.
Yes, sometimes so we do two long. We should probably make sure to only do one long, just because
do one long and maybe up a common or a short or something. Maybe
something like that. But if you've got like, and this can happen, if you've got like 3 or 4 tasks up in like the reactor labs area on Mira HQ, which is through decontamination, which takes a while to get through. You can be up in there doing long stuff, because if you've got shit like reactor or manifolds, or rebuild the artifact is another long one, I think, because it's a matching puzzle. You can be up there for like 10 minutes and not see anybody else. And sometimes you get murdered.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a very fun game. I'm super glad it's popular. Freaking Jeff Keighley tweeted about that actually the other day, where he's like, he's so glad to see a lot of people getting into an indie game that's like 2 years old all of a sudden. I will say, it's definitely interesting to see other people jump on the bandwagon, basically, because it's popular and have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Like, I've posted some videos from, like, Funhouse or AH, where they don't necessarily play the game it's intended to be played, but obviously they have large internal groups, so that works for them. But, like, they already have to institute rules of, like, no name-calling and stuff. And like, I get why they don't, because they're an ensemble cast, so they want everybody to be talking and playing off each other. And we could definitely try some rounds like that, but that gets really hard for the imposters, because people almost can't help making noises or whatever. And in fairness to people who make noises when they die, death animations usually play longer for you, the guy who gets murdered, than the imposter.
Yeah, and the imposter, it's just a... And
yeah, it just makes a blurt, and then they fall over.
Explode.
But for the victim, like, if you get, like, the stabby or shooty, like, that'll actually, like, take a few seconds. The neck snap and the weird xenomorph mouth spike thing are pretty fast. But it can be quite surprising, because there's a horrible, like a sting with violin strings on there. And then there's horrible slap noises, and you're dead. And you're like, shit, I'm a ghost now. So it can be startling. So, like, I'm not necessarily calling it out against them, but some people have definitely, when been playing, had, like, big, yelly reactions when they die. Which can be interesting and dramatic, but sometimes it's just like, oh, hey, that guy's dead. Let's go look where he was. Oh, golly gee willikers, Mr. Lucky, you were with the dead man. It was Lucky in the conservatory with the gun in my spine. So yeah, that's definitely a thing you have to watch out for. And obviously, if you're listening to this and you've either checked out our Among Us highlights, which if you haven't, you should. But if you have opinions on watching future ones, let us know how you feel about that. Like, do you prefer more bants, or do you prefer more of the, like, tense experience? Yeah,
I was actually there. I was talking to some people, and some people said no, they actually like seeing the whole thing. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh
yeah, some people were definitely like, I don't want highlights. I want to see the entire thing. And that, I'm like, okay, we should just, if we're going to do that, we'll just stream it.
Yeah. Which we might do.
There's no point to record and cut. Yeah, we could do that. You've talked about doing bonus streams. I could definitely see us, like, on a night or something going out. I think we played Among Us last on a Wednesday. Speaking of sleep schedules, not to out Vesper too hard, but we have missed the past 2 weeks of D&D because Vesper has passed out somewhere during our D&D time and not woken up until hours later. Yes. It's been 2 weeks since we played, or technically we're going on 3 weeks since we've actually played D&D. I don't want to shame or anything. Like I've talked about, everybody in the group and everybody listening to us can probably understand the fucked up sleep thing, but it is definitely a thing. So now it's a funny thing. I have joked to the others in the group that, well, now it's happened 3 times, so now Vesper is the one who naps. But yeah, so depending on how what time we have for stuff, we could definitely stream some Among Us if people are interested in that.
Yeah, no, I usually leave you alone on Wednesdays because I think you're playing a game or something. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go do something else. Oh, all right. Well, let's see here. So I think that's enough Among Us talk, and since we're slowly talking about table talk, we can, I guess, transition to other table talk.
Yeah. Well, let me check the time really quick. We've been doing this for about an hour 30. Let's take a quick break, walk around, do stuff like that.
Right, stretch,
get some water, and we'll be right back, audience. Because obviously, this is a podcast you could probably be watching / listening on your phone. You can walk around whenever you like. I have unpaused, and we are back. Okay, tabletop stuff.
Yeah. So, after last week, was it last week? That you were talking about a lot of L5R stuff?
Yep.
Yeah. Lucky actually poured over, like, making a character a little bit. He didn't get too deep into it. Mm-hmm. But it's actually not so much that I didn't want to make a character, is the fact that I was actually having trouble conceptualizing a character. So that's the best way to explain this. So there's some things that Lucky knows he wants to do. He knows he wants to be a scorpion. He knows he wants to be kind of sneaky. He knows he wants to be poisons and whatnot. He has a lot of mechanics he wants to do, but I was actually looking through what was it, Emerald Kingdom, the book?
Emerald Empire is the setting book, yeah.
Yes. And I'm been trying to figure out, okay, unless Omega tells me what the fuck we're all doing together, I don't know the fuck what I would be. Because where I am in Emerald Empire is talking a lot about, like samurai and courtier life, living in palaces and stuff. I'm like, okay, but what if I'm like going out? Am I just a dude who hangs out in the palace all day and then until my lord goes, hey, go do a thing? I'm like, that's entirely possible. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, so I'm just like, this is one of the few times I've actually felt like I've actually had trouble in creating a character, because I'm just like, character creation is something I love. I'll do it even if I don't like have necessarily a game. Like, look at fucking Porter the Pork Priest. I love him. I adore him still. I still can't wait to use him. But just no point. It's like no point to him. But like Omega has talked about, like, we eventually will have a Legend of the Fine Tree campaign. Eventually, one day.
Yes.
In the future.
Also, people, please stop asking to be in it. I'm sorry, but I've got like 9 or 10 people who have asked about it. You can't all fit. Please stop. I already will have to do possibly some uncomfortable like organizing and cutting out of people. But that's a future problem, because it will be several months before I'm ready, because I've still got a decent amount of writing and I'm waiting for a source book to come out to double check. Which is kind of why I not necessarily have been cagey. I could talk about, and I think I have maybe mentioned, but I've got the elevator pitch for my game already out there. I have it set up. And I could read it out, but it will still also be a while anyway, so I just haven't really dove into it. But I want to say, well, if you're just doing general stuff, the 20 questions system, which is basically how they handle characterization, is through literally answering 20 questions. Some of which are pure fluff, others have mechanical options, some of which kind of blend the two. Right. Now Lucky is a can to click.
Yeah.
But if you know kind of what you want to do, you can run through that. But with a campaign in mind and stuff like that, knowing what you want to do or what you will be doing can be kind of vague, because this has even been coming out in like extra FAQ and errata stuff they've been doing. There are a lot of different types of games to L5R. It's very much fundamentally a setting with a collection of mechanics that kind of tie everything together on roughly an even playing field, It's got explicit rules for, like, skirmishes, fights with people, mass battles, fights with lots of people, and then also duels, 1v1 type stuff, and intrigues, social conflicts. So all of those roughly follow the same system. Like, you will never be lost if you're suddenly if you've been playing intrigues all game and suddenly you're in a mass combat. Like, you might not know what actions you're taking per se, or like how to handle some of the specific stuff, but in general you'll be like, okay, we'll make a check for initiative. All right, I'm going. I should make a regular check on this thing for that thing, etc. Like, all the structured time stuff works out together. Most of it flows the same way. Yeah, but well, go ahead.
No. Actually, I'm thinking about it's not important. I was going to talk about how I've noticed like how there's like technique abilities that are specifically made for intrigue and social stuff. I was like, oh,
yes, there are some techniques and stuff and more advanced that are like, this only works in an intrigue scene. This only works in a skirmish or mass battle. Some people may be shocked. There is a whole category of social techniques. They're called shuji.
Yes,
which is a pretty new thing to this edition. Is actually like giving courtiers explicit, different, repeatable techniques that everybody can learn, on the par of like martial arts katas and magical invocations, key techniques, stuff like that. But some of them are explicitly like, and you will be surprised by the number probably, can only be used in skirmishes or mass combats. Like, they literally have social techniques to like help manage your allies in combat, which, by the way, I love, because it gives courtiers something to do. Because generally courtiers do not fight. And in fact, courtiers do not. While a courtier in Rokugan probably owns a katana, they are not printed on their starting kits, and they are almost never carrying their weapon, because that is a sign that you are a bushi. You are expected to be able to fight for and defend yourself and your lord. And a courtier, you're not. You just carry a wakizashi as a symbol of office. So that gives you courtier something to do. You can pick up something like Slippery Maneuvers or Lightning Raid and be like, hey, we're in a fight. As my action, I will yell at you to do something, and not do it myself.
That super sounds like a courtier. Save me!
Yeah. Hey, Yojimbo, please, hit that man. He is going to ruffle my kimono. Stop him.
As you say, behind a paper van.
Yes.
I've been like reading a lot of stuff, and it's like, oh, these are interesting. Like, because I'm not against I'm not like I'm not against like necessarily being like a courtier or stuff, but Lucky's heart and mind is being like, because I was actually looking at this, was it schools?
Yes.
Yeah, schools. They usually have tags of what they are. Like the Bayushi Death Dealer, it's Bushi Shinobi, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is what Omega means by like, yeah, you can do some of that samurai stuff, but also have some of the stuff. But then I was looking like, there's also courtier, and unfortunately, they showed Lucky a word that they shouldn't have. They have artisan as well, and Lucky was like, oh no.
Oh yeah, no, artisan is now obviously there's a whole skill category called artisan skills. So yeah, you can easily have artistic skills, which I believe it's either the Scorpion or I think it's the Bayushi family who gets a free point in design, which is your kind of fashion accessory overall thing. With a lot of potential specializations and sub skills like layering clothing, makeup, hairstyles, etc.
Yes.
But no, there are some dedicated classes which are just tagged artisan.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I didn't do a full look, but I was like, the Bayushi Death Dealer looks pretty cool, but Lucky, at his heart, Lucky likes making stuff. Lucky likes stuff. He has a complete and utter addiction to gear porn, which I will say, Legend of the Five Rings, has a surprising amount. It's very interesting.
There's at least a decent variety of, and they make sure to add a couple, like, there's a decent variety of personal items, some of which are actually, important and useful. And then there's, like, a decent variety of which there will be more of armor and weapons to pick from, which can do lots of different interesting mechanical things. And after a couple of source books, they have enough support with kata's martial techniques to be like, oh yeah, if you're a polearm guy, there's like, 4 or 5 specific techniques that only work for being a polearm guy, and let you do really cool, unique stuff. And then there's some stuff that like, hey, guess what? If you want to be a katana bro, you are probably going to pick up techniques like Iajutsu, because they can literally only work with katanas and other weapons like them, because of mechanics. But, yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I don't think there's an outright Scorpion tagged, or an artisan tagged Scorpion school yet. There may be eventually. But artisan is definitely kind of not a high priority tag. Like, every clan will have at least one school that is a Shugenja school, a Bushi school, and a Courtier school. Those are usually the 3 pillars of L5R. Bushi are warriors. They are what you think of when you think of samurai. They are guardsmen, bodyguards, commanders, magistrates, enforcers, that kind of stuff. They do the actual fighting and military type stuff. Courtiers are your ambassadors, diplomats, social types. They represent your needs at court. They handle your discussion of all the hoity-toity political stuff. And Shugenja are basically magic priests. Magic in Rokugan is usually religious or evil. Because anybody can do Maho, blood magic, but only some people can be Shugenja and do Shugendo and get access to invocations, which call upon the elemental kami to do you a solid, basically. From doing a solid like healing that guy of fatigue or making food, Inari's blessing is rad, yo, to making that guy over there be on fire, because he's not enough on fire yet. But they fill spiritual roles, advisors, warrior priests sometimes, shrine keepers, etc. And so you'll see all of that. Then there's 3 kind of specialist tags. Artisans are like courtiers, but the way I've seen it used by the game is they are technical specialists. Like, there probably should be a scholar tag, but there's not. But you see artisan a lot for, like, characters who have to do very fiddly, big brain stuff. Like, there's a swordsmith school, which are Bushi, because obviously they make swords and test them, but they are, majority of their role is artisan, they make swords. But also they know how to hit people with swords. It's kind of important when you make a sword. But there are also courtier artisans, and there are even a couple of schools which are tagged pure artisan. They are only there to make artistic efforts. But they function basically as social characters. Monks are another weird role. They are mystical characters. They will be spiritual advisors, interpret various things. They explicitly note that schools which are tagged monk, which are samurai, are usually basically Shugenja, but they don't do the specific Shugenja thing. They are not using invocations necessarily, or at least not the way you do normally. They are normally associated with a technique known as Kiho, Key Path, which is you don't really talk to the elemental kami, but rather you synergize elemental energies within yourself. That's a Kiho thing, and you can do stuff like do cool monk moves, like be tough and see everything through the earth, or punch people with fire punches, or do the death touch. High level, some of the highest level Kihos are death touch, which is literally, the dim mock. Literally, if you target a minion with the death touch Kiho and you roll enough successes, they just die. They auto die. You can insta give mooks. And the other big one, the other high level is Way of the Edge of Sword, which is just Thunderbolt Fantasy. Turn your unarmed and improvised weapon attacks into fucking Nodachis or Zanbatos. Like, it's pretty crazy because it's a high level technique. You will be very good at it when you do. So you can pick up a stick and literally do more damage to people than you do with a katana or a club. But yeah, so that's usually a monk thing. So that's usually reserved, like I said, for roles that are either explicitly monastic orders or people who do mystic stuff but not quite Shugenja. And the other specialist tag, like you mentioned earlier, is Shinobi, who they do sneaky stuff. They do spy stuff, whether it's either just outright, it's either dishonorable or frowned upon or outright illegal. Mm-hmm. And they will do all your spying, murdering, sneaking, etc. Which often means they can fight dudes, but sometimes they aren't focused on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
there's a lot of different tags, but I don't think while they do have artisan schools, I don't think any of them have actually been statted yet. And there are some generic schools, which obviously that's the thing I should talk about with talking about character design. Schooling is very open in L5R. In previous editions, they required you to pay extra character gen points to get an out of clan school. Now you don't. In the current edition of the game, you just have to talk with your GM and explain why. Hey, so I'm a scorpion, but I was trained in the Dragon Miramoto 2 Sword School. Okay, why? It was a trade thing or something. Or maybe my mommy was a dragon, and it was her school. I don't know. Stuff like that.
Exchange. They sent me there as a kid.
Yeah, hostage exchange is a very common one. Yeah. Literally happens, and has happened to several big of the backstory characters have been trained at other schools, or partially trained even. But so there's a lot of reason why you may be in a different school. So it's not necessarily super binding. There are also a number of people usually refer to them as Ronin schools because they're not big name. They're not named after a big family's dojo, the Bayushi Death Dealer School is named after the Bayushi family. It's kind of a big deal dojo to them. Or series of dojos, even. But you could easily be a, mercenary ninja, which is just actually, I think it's cast as a tradition because it's mostly self-taught or apprenticeships, but there are several generic schools that could slot in, which are pretty cool about stuff if you want to play certain groups.
Yeah, like I will say, if I had saw a Shinobi Artisan School, I would have snapped it up just immediately.
Yeah, I don't know if that combo exists. Let me actually check. I got a list. As usual, especially because there are a lot of source books that go out of their way to add a lot of new schools and techniques all the time. Mm-hmm. I have done my usual Mad Lad thing and made lots of guides and lists and stuff. I talked about this. Actually, I don't know if I talked about it on air, but I talked about it with you guys last week that I made a rough technique list that just tells you what book a technique is, tell you what rank it is, and tell you generally what it does. Not all the mechanics, but if you're looking for hey, is there a technique that lets me hit a motherfucker with a motherfucker? I'd be yes, Whirling Sweep. You can throw a guy, and if you roll good enough, you can throw that guy at another guy. So I have lots of little guides and things to kind of keep track of stuff.
That's right, you do. Because I was looking at it earlier.
But like I said, no, there's a T in Artisan, me. Let's see, we got scrolling, we've got Artisan, we've got Shugenja Artisan, Shugenja Artisan, Artisan Bushi, Bushi Artisan, Artisan Courtier, Bushi Artisan, Artisan Courtier, Shugenja Artisan, and that's it.
Heck. Lucky cries.
And then what we got for Shinobi? There's Bushi Shinobi, Courtier Shinobi, Bushi Shinobi, Courtier Shinobi, Just Shinobi, Shinobi Courtier, Bushi Shinobi, Shinobi Courtier again. The Soshi Illusionist, who has, I think, one of the highest number of school tags, is Shugenja Courtier and Shinobi, and then Bushi Shinobi again. There are only a couple of schools that have 3 tags. It's a little weird. Mm-hmm. They did also, by the way, add another tag later called Sage, which is... Sage is basically, hey, we're a Shugenja or monk, we do mystic stuff, but we do mystic stuff in a way that Rokugan doesn't understand. So it's not Shugendo-style magic, because Void Shugenja, which are coming out in the new book, have this tag. because they can do weird techniques relating to the void, which has no kami. But also certain gaijin schools and traditions have the sage tag, because they're like, okay, we do mystical stuff, but we don't do it in the way that Rokugan understands. But yeah, I was talking about the 20 questions earlier. The 20 questions is a great way to kind of unpack your character, because it asks you, it asks you some very important questions, like, hey, what's your relationship with your parents like? What are their names? What do they do? And you can get, like, skill ranks out of it, like, when you were a kid, what was your hobby? What did you, practice on? Did your parents encourage it, or did they discourage it? Role-playing, but also building out and diversifying your character sheet. Because specifically, that one is you have to pick a skill which you have 0 ranks in, which I like. I like those little things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, what skill don't you have that you want to have? And it helps you diversify. And because of it's your relationship with your parents, you can be like, yeah, no, to spite my parents, I took up seafaring.
Oh.
Or something like that. Or it could be like, yeah, no, one of my parents was actually an artisan, so actually I took up aesthetics because, even though I'm a bushi, I was trained that way. Kind of thing, stuff at home. Similarly, you can, like, what you think about Bushido, what you think about your clan, etc. It asks a lot of questions that have, like I said, both fluff components and mechanical components. Like, one of the questions is, like, how did you stand out in your school? Mechanically, it gives you a +1 to a ring of your choice, but how you make that choice is describing how you did growing up. Like, were you friendly, open, aware? Water. Are you, like, passionate, driven, inspiring? Fire. Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So,
I might have, like, I was trying to avoid going through the full thing because,
yes, that is literally the character creation. I would record that part, because I think it's important for everybody to sit down, and even if I will say this, since you're talking about it, I'm okay with people who are in the game, like, pre-doing the 20 questions, or at least looking at them and have an idea, because we can still talk about what you picked, but it is definitely an experience when you guys all sit together and do that together. Which I would do. I would do the session 0 because I would want everybody to, barring, like, if anybody had any, like, super sensitive backstory secrets they didn't want to talk about, because some disadvantages and stuff are a trip. Oh, I'm cursed, or I'm haunted, or I have a dark secret, and I'd be like, okay, well, maybe we don't talk about what that is to everybody at the table. But I generally would like people to know who's playing what they're doing, and kind of, like, pre-established relationships.
Yeah.
And I do have some ideas for not necessarily a session 0, but I'll probably ask everybody for their input, because, again, I don't even know who the group all is. Like, I'm pretty sure Lucky's in it, and I'm pretty sure I have some other people in it, but I don't know exactly yet. So, I would definitely want to, like, re-ask this question. I can't guarantee that everybody who would be playing would be listening to this right now. Who knows? Or if they'll remember in 3 to 6 months or whatever. But I have an idea for, like, and I say I don't want to enforce this because it would limit some people's character options. But I have an idea for how we could do the kind of you all meet at an inn type thing, like get everybody together and do a lower stakes adventure to kind of put everybody together. And then like hook them into the campaign that way, which is, I would modify it because it's from the beginner game, which means it's real simplified Babby's first role-playing type rules. So I would take the plots and stuff, but come up with my own like TNs and mechanics. But I would do basically the beginner game adventure, which is called the Topaz Championship, which is the Topaz Championship is Rokugan's most premier Genpuku coming of age ceremony. It's held once a year, and the person who wins this basically tournament of all things samurai becomes the Topaz Champion, which is one of the Emperor's chosen. It is an imperial appointed position. You get to hold it for a year. You get a special armor as a badge of office, and basically, it's kind of like those like debutante ball type things where like. If you're the favorite of the ball, everybody knows that you're like an up-and-coming samurai, and we'll get good postings, and that would be my excuse to like tie everybody together into the other plot, which, like I said, will probably be slightly more mystical leaning. There'll be a lot of like destiny and the stars are right type stuff, which if we don't do that, will be the excuse as to why everybody from different clans comes together. Is just like, Destiny said so. But I would prefer the opportunity for the characters to actually like cut into their role-playing a little, like get a feel for their characters in a low-stakes environment, and then kind of like get all to know each other and be vaguely allied before we start. Because, like I said, talking about different types of games you can do, sometimes L5R and Rokugan can be a very literally intrigue-heavy, secrets, interpersonal stuff, conflicting loyalties type thing. And that's something you want to be careful about, right?
Yeah.
I talked about this a lot last week when talking about how people often perceive and sometimes play Scorpion Clan characters where they get a little too into the shiftiness, and it's not necessarily actually interesting. It's just, well, he's shifty, so we're just going to ignore him.
No, like the way I keep seeing Scorpion is if a Scorpion is involved, they're probably there to keep things from going too shifty. And if maybe there needs to be some shiftiness to be done for honor reasons, they're there to do it.
Right. That is their intended purpose. But
yes,
not every Scorpion plays it straight, as it were.
Yeah. But that's why I like reading the fluff. It's like they're there to do the dirty things that people, they're in the dark. They're in the dark so people can stay in the light.
Yeah. And technically, it's out of so there are 3 clans that have slightly higher status than the others. They start with 35 instead of 30. That's the Lion, Crane, and Scorpion, actually.
Yeah.
So they're basically the I call them the hands of the Emperor. Their clan territories are right up on the Imperial capital, Otosan Uchi. Yes, that does translate to basically Dad's house in Japanese. This game was made in the 90s. I kind of like the charm, though. It's very simple. But they are all centered around Imperial lands, and they are traditionally referred to as the Emperor's hands. The Lion are the right hand of the Emperor. They are his military might. There's a tradition where, because every clan has a special ancestral sword that their founder owned. The Lion don't actually keep their ancestral sword. The Emperor keeps it, and the Emperor gives the ancestral sword to the Lion clan when he wants somebody to be fucking destroyed.
Oof.
So if you are the Lion clan champion and the Emperor hands you your ancestral sword, he will tell you to go fuck somebody's day up, and you will go do it. Because that's how the Lion roll. The Lion have some of the largest and best trained armies in Rokugan, and a lot of their samurai end up in what is called the Emerald Legion, which is basically the Imperial Reserve troops who are there to do Imperial things, in addition to managing their own stuff. That's right. They have so many warriors, so many bushi, that they can spare some to go into the Imperial National Guard service and still have the biggest armies in Rokugan.
They big on military power, yo.
The Lion's big limiting factor is that their favorite. So, their guy Akodo wrote the Code of Bushido, and their big tenet is honor itself. So, while some of them get a little shifty, the Akoma are basically the Han Solo of the setting. Akoma himself was like an old drunken lecher who knew kung fu, but he was a cool guy who told stories cool. Generally the Lion are slightly hamstrung by their obsession with honor and protocol and stuff. Which is good because they fight a lot with the Scorpion and the Crane. The Crane are the Emperor's left hand. They run a lot of the courts. You will find a lot of middle managers and bureaucrats in the Imperial courts are Crane. Traditionally, the Emperor marries a Crane as the Empress. Not always, but most of the time. And the Crane clan kind of codified a lot of Rokugan's formal social structures and language and stuff. So they're the left hand. They're the big political stuff. They organize a lot of the courts. They set a lot of the legal rulings. And they're a big power base because, one, they have some of the best diplomats in the Empire. So Rokugan has basically defined war and peace seasons. Summer is the season of war. It's hot. You got a lot of guys who don't have anything to do. You send them out to go fight stuff. And then in winter, because Rokugan is like Japan where it's very swingy, a lot of places it snows heavily in the winter, at the very least, because they're still a basically feudal society. Roads aren't the best. You don't travel in winter.
Nope.
Unless under dire circumstances, right? So usually they have a great tradition called Winter Court, where basically everybody bundles up into a castle court and rides out the winter, and a lot of diplomacy happens there. So the Crane will usually negotiate back for anything they've lost over the summer in winter.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Winter Court usually the Emperor attends.
Yes, there is an Imperial Winter Court where the Emperor leaves his capital to go hang out somewhere all winter, and it's a big deal.
And actually, I was reading about this. A lot of time, it tends to be Crane, because usually they have... Because actually, this was something they were talking about. Like, there's a difference between castles and palaces.
Yes, they have an actual... The words in... Well, I guess roughly in Japanese, but in Rokugan, the classification Shiro is castle, and Kyuden is palace. A Kyuden, a palace, is defined by being capable of hosting Imperial Winter Court. Now, there are some of them which can't actually do this. The capital of the Crab Clan, and of the Hida family, is called Kyuden Hida. It's described in the Shadowlands book. It's right on the Carpenter wall, and it has a giant Oni skull over the front door. If the Emperor were to host a winter court at Kyuden Hida, he would be displaying his displeasure for lots of people, because it would be a grim, dark, very somber winter court that nobody would have fun at.
See, this is the thing I was like getting into. It's like there's a lot of another reason why I'm kind of having a little bit of trouble. There's a lot of the way the court works is it's never open insult. It's all veiled diplomacy stuff. And like I was actually because when I was reading about the Imperial with the court,
one of the tenets of Bushido is courtesy. So open insults are dishonorable.
Yeah, sometimes the fucking the Hante will host a winter court in a place that can't do it because he's pissed off at them and he just wants to shame them. And it's just like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, there's another famous one. The Sparrow clan, the Suzume, they're a minor clan, which is another thing where minor clans are kind of like specialist things created by imperial decree. But they're notoriously poor. They don't have very important lands. They don't have a lot of wealth. They're storytellers mostly. Technically, their main holding is titled Kyuden Suzume. It is definitely not big enough to actually host a winter court, but because they are a minor clan, they are extended the courtesy of being called a Kyuden. Meanwhile, I think this is called out in the section in Emerald Empire you've been reading, the Ide family of the Unicorn, who are their big courtier family, have been trying for several years, possibly centuries, since the Unicorn clan have come back from being outside the Empire, to get their palace named as a Kyuden and host a winter court. But Imperial cartographers insist on continuing to call it a Shiro, a castle.
It might be because they don't like Gaijin and shit like that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of suspicion of racism about the unicorns. They were literally outside of the Empire for 800 years. But yeah, so there's a lot of those little things there. But the 20 questions is a big one. But yeah, so I was talking about, really quick, I want to circle back to this because I realized we got away from it. There's a lot of fluff to talk about in L5R. This is the thing Lucky's talking about. But, so I was talking about doing the Topaz Championship. That's, that would be a good opportunity for lots of young samurai to come together, kind of compete, but also face adversity. It would kind of introduce some of the elements I want to introduce. But I say it would limit characters, and why I'd want to make sure everybody is on board with this is because, hey, guess what? If you're doing a coming-of-age ceremony, that means you're still not of age. You're basically still kids when you start. You're not officially legal adults. So there would be certain character archetypes and certain character choice that would make sense. There's literally an advantage called seasoned, which indicates that your samurai is older, and basically as you level up, you're either like you've never done much with your life other than lived it, or you're remembering old stuff you've forgotten. But that probably wouldn't work without some additional guidance and tinkering if we started at a beginner game at the Topaz Championship, because again, it's a tournament for babies. But like I said, it makes a great excuse to gel everybody together.
I'd be fine with it. Like, especially if this is gonna be my first time playing L5R. I'm not gonna be necessarily as you guys can tell, I am reading, I am learning, but I still don't know actually how to play. I know I use a ring and I use something else, and that stuff happens.
There's some fun dice, yeah, and I think at least for everybody who's got interested that I'm sure of so far, I think most of at least the earlier people who are interested aren't very familiar with this edition, at least. They may have played it in the past, but this will be their first time playing in this edition, or they have no experience at all. So yeah, I definitely think I like that kind of slow starter, but like I said, I don't want to necessarily be... I'm already going to have to, for the sake of campaign stylings and focus, be like, nah, there's some schools you probably shouldn't play. Which is a definite thing in L5R. There are a lot of school options, there are a lot of school abilities, there's a lot of different types of characters and origins you can do. Path of Waves literally includes an entirely separate 20 questions so you can play fringe characters, peasants, ronin, gaijin even, right?
Yeah.
And that's a campaign style that's even suggested in the book called Rise from Dust. You can totally play really gritty Kurosawa ronin games, or even peasant games if you want. But, hey, guess what? Some of those are weird. It would be weird if we were playing, a high tier, a very classic other campaign style is literally the Winter Court game, where literally your entire game setting takes place over a Winter Court. If you do that, you probably don't want to be full-blown Bushi who aren't duelists, because you're not going to do a lot of fighting. Nor would you want to pick, well, actually, I don't know, at Winter Court you could probably pick up the mercenary shinobi school.
Well, like I said, you could, literally be someone here to protect your Lord's Honor, and it's there's a duel, I named this champion, or something,
yes.
I don't know.
But that is actually, we talked about specific techniques. There are kata which are good for dueling, and there are kata which are not. I was talking about the crane earlier, right? one of the reasons why the Crane stay in power is because the other thing is they set a lot of the cultural and legal standards, which is, so they have culturally defined the duel, which is a common way of settling disagreements. Basically, somebody says something that you don't like. You cannot necessarily insist he is incorrect. He said it out loud. But usually what you say is something to the effect of, perhaps you'd like to back up your words with steel. And then the duel is seen as the heavens deciding. The heavens decide the victor, who was morally correct.
On a side note, this is why paper fans are a thing, because anything you say behind a paper fan is technically something you didn't say out loud.
Right, that's another thing. Similarly, shogi screens are considered real walls, so you cannot honorably admit to anything you heard or saw through a screen. That screen is a wall. You can't see through that. Well, you fucking magic.
Then this is why I'm like, it's like, this is why I'm glad I'm bringing the setting stuff, because it's like, these are interesting things to know. But I said, the more information I take, the more confused I'm, well, not confused, but the more unsure of, like, okay.
Yeah, because, again, there's a lot of options. And like I said, before everybody, I would, like, read over my elevator pitch, get everybody on the same page, and we would maybe possibly even people would go through some different types. And, of course, the advantage of playing the beginner's game, the Topaz Championship, would be to basically beta test your character, like I said, in a relatively low-stakes environment. You know, you're still kids. Nobody's expecting you to, like, murder 10,000 demons or anything. Though that would be a great campaign for L5R. But you could be like, we played those probably a couple of sessions. It's me. And it would be with a lot of people. I know my limits. But you'd probably play 2 or 3 sessions of this and go, no, you know what? I don't think I like the way I've built this character. I'm going to completely retcon my existence and be a different character now. Which, by the way, I believe I've only found a couple of L5R actual plays I kind of like, and that kind of drift in and out. But that was one that I know that I was testing out literally did. Their character started as a canonical Yogo Shugenja, like they were actually doing Shugenja magic. And then after they got out of the adventure, apparently they switched to being a Shosuro infiltrator, and revealed they were not a Shugenja all along, even though they very definitely actually rolled to do incantations and stuff in the pregame. But we just rolled with it. You know, so like I would allow something similar to be like, yeah, we can probably hot swap some stuff if you don't know what you're doing. Especially for newer games, that kind of stuff is important. Heck, I even do that right now. I've been letting people respec in Star Wars, even though.
Yeah, no, Star Wars is gonna be on my second point, but I definitely wanted to.
Yeah, but yeah, so I talked about dueling. The Crane set the rules for the Ei Jutsu duel, which they are the masters of because they invented the style. So. You gotta be careful with Crane. They might not have all the big armymans of the Lion, but, at least in a courtly setting, if you get into a fight with them, they usually win. And then I was gonna complete this analogy by talking about the Scorpion. The Scorpion are the Emperor's underhand, right? Mm-hmm. Theoretically, they are there to, either be in the shadows, like you said, so that others can be in the light, to observe shady things going on and report them to the Emperor, or even engage in shady activity so that everybody can be hunky-dory, you don't need to worry about anything, it's all fine now. Oh, some kind of weird opium trade in the capital? No, we took care of that.
That's actually interesting, because the Scorpion are the ones in control of the opium trade.
But probably because of an outgrowth of that.
Yes.
But yeah, the Scorpion Lands are one of the few places where they actually grow opium and legally distribute it as a medicine. There are actually in a couple of later books, they kind of talked about how there's different ways, like, I can't remember the thing. I think it's the tea version of opium, where you boil the poppies, is banned by Imperial Edict because it's not strong enough to be a real medicinal painkiller. It's just a drug, basically.
Yes.
But there are medicinal uses of opium which are allowed. The other major sources of the trade are minor clans like the Mantis and Tortoise, who have ports to maybe not literally, but most definitely, yes, actually, to Gaijin lands, and they import it. Because of reasons, Gaijin are not allowed to just wander around in Rokugan. There are a couple places where there are exceptions, and there are some major trades. That's a big thing the Unicorn do, is they have access to the Sand Road through the Burning Sands. So yeah, they can talk to the Middle Eastern analog and get trade that way.
The Unicorn Clan was a trip when they came back. I was just like, oh.
Yeah, so I mentioned that earlier. The Unicorn Clan were known as the Kirin Clan, and they literally fucked off. Their founder was like, okay, so I'm pretty sure there's stuff outside this empire want to get us. I'm just gonna leave and wander around and come back and tell you what I did. And
I think if I remember correctly, I think they were told to, and they were given one of the I can't remember the founders was like, take this item, you know.
Yes, they were given a mirror and a fan.
A mirror.
They were given a magic mirror, and they were given some other stuff so they could always identify themselves. And then they wandered around for literally 800 years and came back, and it took a long time, and nobody believed that they were actually samurai, but eventually they did. The fan that Lucky mentioned was important. That was a fan that the founder of the Crane clan, Lady Doji, gave to her sister Shinjo, founder of the Kirin clan. And so when the Unicorn clan champion returned it to the Crane, they were like, yep, you're legit. And so the Crane and the Unicorn are usually allies, probably because they both hate the lion. Fun fact, when the Kirin left, the lion moved into all their lands because they were like, hey, you're not using that land. And so when the Unicorn came back, the lion had to give back a lot of that land, and they're not happy about it to this day. That's another big theme, is grudges and blood feuds are discouraged, but totally still happen.
Oh, yeah.
I talked about, like, lion and crane rivalry. That's because of one of their big families. Their founders, Lady Matsu and Kakita, the founders of those two families, had a rivalry, and I think it was Matsu literally said, then let there be enmity between us, and they haven't gotten over it in 1,000 years. Like, they are still not really keen on each other after 1,000 years because they have an ancient historical feud. But that makes sense because, this is Rokugan. This is, there's a lot of emphasis on founding, ancestors, that kind of stuff. Ancestor worship is very common among the samurai. So it follows a lot. But yeah, so I talk about medicine. That's the thing that's interesting about the Scorpion. We call them the underhand, and, like, people who are higher up in clans probably understand that they do some shady shit to get by, and some of them are like, yeah, whatever, and some of them are like, I secretly hate them for this. But to most people, the Scorpion are probably thought of as the second best clan. Like, they're pretty good fighters. Probably not as good as a lion, but they're pretty good. Maybe that's why they have to cheat. And they're pretty good courtiers. Maybe not as good as a crane, but they're pretty good. Maybe that's why they gotta cheat. People always think about this kind of stuff as, like, because the Scorpion will do that underhanded thing to succeed and win. Mm-hmm. And they don't mind appearing weak either. That's another big Scorpion clan ethos. But generally, I've noticed they do have a lot of focus on medicine, arts, and stuff. Like, the Shosuro family has an acting school. They train actors in classical acting arts. But that school's not modeled yet by the game, and I don't know when it will be. It's always interesting to see some of the design themes. Like, so the book that just came out is called Celestial Realms. It was focused on, like, literally focused on different spirit realms and the heavenly realms and stuff, and talking a lot about that kind of things and spiritual emphasis. So, hey, it's got a lot of Shugenja characters in it and new invocations and new mechanics and stuff based around that. Mm-hmm. The next book that is announced is called Fields of Victory. That is a book focused on warfare, logistics, and the Lion Clan. So, I'm expecting a lot of Bushi characters, a lot of new kata, tunes to mass combat. Probably not a lot of courtiers.
Probably not, no.
And then the book after that, when the company Edge finally takes over, they've announced they're working on something called Writ of the Wilds, which will be a Dragon Clan-themed book and also talk about wilderness and survival in wild places in Rokugan. Again, probably not a lot of courtiers, but maybe. It's a dragon book, so there'll probably be some monks and other weird stuff.
The weirdest.
Dragon are a very weird clan for a lot of reasons, and I like them a lot, but I don't know if we should get into that. But yeah, there's a lot of depth to L5R, and this is why I like the idea of sitting down and doing the 20 questions as a group, because even if you've already made your character and you know what options you're picking, it's still good for everybody to talk about what they're doing in turn, get on the same page, and kind of understand everything, because you need to kind of build what your character is, and that can influence your choices, because, like, there's a lot of modularity. Like, even if two people were playing the same school, not that they probably would, but usually you can, say, pick one or two different techniques when you start. And so you would know, oh, hey, that guy took this technique, I'll take a different one. Or, this is actually a fun one. There's a shuji, a social technique called cadence, which lets you pass secret messages to people when you make other social checks. And cadence is easier if the other guy has cadence. So maybe as a group you would go, oh, you have cadence? Well, I'll take cadence then, so we can secretly communicate easier. You can still do it with people who don't also have cadence, but literally it's 2 opportunity versus 1 opportunity. Which is fun. I love this kind of stuff. A lot of depth to the game, and always more. But yeah, So now we probably talked about that for like an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one more Elf-Ever thing talking about lore I really want to shout out. I do have my copy of the Crab Clan novella. I haven't read it yet, but I usually like these, and I like the author, D.G. Ladderout. He's pretty good. Writes a lot of good fiction. But when I do that, I will probably record and post my immediate thoughts on the thing. So wait for that. I hope to have some reading time soon. I predict not right away today, though, because I want to catch up on that Hololive EN stuff. And also tomorrow we're going to game Star Wars, which lets us transition to that second thing you wanted to talk about.
Yep. So, talking all this stuff about character creation and whatnot, definitely got me thinking. Once, we haven't played it yet, so it has to come out, but if you... Actually, how far behind are you on posting the APs?
Only one, so...
Only one, okay, so people still would not have heard this at the time of this. But Marth, longtime player, has decided that he can't get into Cavus' headspace. He's having a problem trying to figure out what, Cavus wants to do. And if you actually joked about this, with Marth, because, when you don't necessarily know what your character wants to do, you kind of wander with your character and try to, pick up, a bunch of stuff to see what sticks. And Marth was having this problem.
He was moving through, rapidly bouncing between, specializations and choices for EXP and stuff, which some people have probably noticed. He talked a lot about wanting to have an animal companion, but never actually picked up one, because he couldn't decide what he actually wanted to do with that. And then I think he completely ditched that talent tree to take another, and he was talking about, I want to do space. Which I guess ultimately is what he wanted to do, because his new character does that, but there was a lot of bouncing around and stuff like that, and you may have noticed it in the role-playing if you've been listening back.
Yeah. But it definitely got me thinking, there's just some times, where you make a character and you just don't coalesce with it. And the more I think, I was usually, I was thinking about it, usually when I make a character, I don't think anyone knows exactly how they're gonna, unless you're super experienced or super good at it, and Lucky will say he is neither. He plays a lot of characters, but he kind of just wings it, and I just realized...
There are some people who play basically the same character over and over again, or do different iterations, like they do legacy characters. Yeah,
I'm looking at it fucking Armont, it's just Wolfgang in a different skin, I've realized. I'm just no, I'm doing the same thing as Wolfgang. I lead from the front, I like stuff, and I'm trying to get a harem. It's heck? And I literally had that realization, after talking to Mark about his new character, because on one hand, I personally, I shouldn't, but I slightly frown on the fact that Marth wants to retire his character, because I think, if you just do a good respec, you can probably get what you want. You don't need to actually build a whole new character, because, how many, we're at 30 something sessions?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
It's closer to 40, I think.
Closer to 40? We're close to 40 sessions. I've spent 40 sessions with Cavus. It's that's important to me. That's a bond. I don't necessarily want that bond to go. But on the other hand...
Actually, we're literally, the last session is 40.
Yeah, so I necessarily don't want, Cavus to, vanish into space. We've already basically established, what's going to happen to Cavus. He's probably going to Island to become a Jedi Knight so he can go have terrible adventures on planets.
Yep.
But at the same time, you have to aware that, while we are playing a game, it is still a living, breathing thing. Things are happening. Stuff is happening outside the world and things and stuff. So it's I can't really and again, the bigger part is Marv's not having fun.
Yes, he's, and I think you can probably catch that in maybe the past couple of sessions, because the one thing that Cavus consistently would do is, rush in and lightsaber people. Alright, cool, that happens, but that gets very repetitive, and we were even discussing, sometimes it was hard to, give him motivation rewards, because his motivation was expertise lightsaber. Okay, cool, that's on theme. How do you really roleplay that? Right?
Yeah.
How do you roleplay perfecting your saberness? Sometimes it worked, because there were sometimes when it was oh yeah, no, you clearly bum rushed into this situation to fight a guy with your lightsaber, well, maybe you shouldn't have done that. But a lot of times it was just yeah, I can't really give you bonus EXP because you rolled double triumphs on a lightsaber attack. That's just a thing you do. That's not really motivational. So yeah, I mean, it depends on the person, right? You already talked about that. There are definitely cases where you can be the core of this character is fine, I just need to rework my mechanical direction, and he had already done that. I think this was mostly just he couldn't really role-playing wise, right? Like we talked about this. It's a role-playing game, so while obviously, yeah, there are character relationships built up, like and you talked about, you as a player and a character have a lot of investment in Cavus and all that stuff. And there's, backstory and whatnot there that his new character won't have. But at the same time, Marth is the player. He's got to embody this character.
Yes.
And so if he's having trouble doing that, or if he doesn't like doing that anymore, then yeah, it's maybe time for a change. And if you can't radically change Cavus enough to make him fit whatever you do, or, like I said, I think Marth's problem was just that he realized that after probably around 30, but definitely after 40 sessions of this, he was like, yeah, I have no idea what Cavus's character actually is. He's just the gung-ho Jedi kid, I guess, kind of thing, right? Because he started off being healery, and then he kind of meandered out of that for a while, and kind of meandered back, but I don't think he was ever super, super into that, especially because we have a clone trooper who's mostly a healer and medic, and while Loth has deliberately built Boots to be kind of not like a super deep character in role-playing, like he's deliberately playing a supporting character, healing and protecting people is one of the things he does get fired up about in character. So, it's okay, well, you guys are kind of competing for the same spotlight a lot. So, yeah, there's a lot of, different work in there that you need to do.
So, there'll be a new character, and that's one of those things, thinking about, character creation. Sometimes when you build a character, you look at him and you're like, no, I like this. But then, a few sessions later, if it hasn't coalesced, you might be meandering. Because I was thinking about it, in with Arama, I think it took me a few sessions before I clicked with Arama. I could definitely say it took a few. And
you did the respec thing. You were into charm. You were playing performer. You were going to be I'm going to play up charming and singing and dancing and stuff. And then you're like, why am I doing this? Why did I do this? This doesn't make any goddamn sense. And I'm like,
I got a hair up my butt.
And then you became Punch Wizard.
Yes. I like to say Punch Saint.
Well, yeah, we talked about this. Martha and FF7 Remakes Tifa were definitely inspirations for what you do currently. But yes, you literally took the Jedi Punchman spec and are now a Jedi Punchman. You rarely draw your lightsaber, and in fact, it hurts you because sometimes you don't draw your lightsaber, and you're like, oh, I can't punch bullets.
Nope. I need that special glove. I'm not gonna get that special glove. It's special. So yeah, it's just So I'm definitely curious to see what Martha's gonna do with his character. He picked Solosian, I think it's pronounced.
Solonian, I think.
Solonian.
They are river otter aliens. They're great. They're actually from the Corellian system too. They're one of the different planets in the Corellian system. So I think actually the fact that he said that he's done I believe he's already taken the Starfighter race spec. So the vehicle space focus is actually kind of interesting and appropriate. His character has a name that exists that I definitely cannot pronounce off the top of my head. I think I said this to him after he typed it. I was like, well, I'm glad you're going to have to say that first, buddy. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And he definitely seems much more fired up about this character and has much more concrete goals about what he wants to do.
Yeah. And that's the important thing. But yeah, so yeah, in Star Wars, we're doing a lot of thinking about the future and whatnot. Like I said, I think going out into space and being somewhere besides Hololive has given players oh yeah, there's the whole fucking universe out there. And I've definitely been thinking about, all right, so clearly we're gonna need a big ship. I'm pretty sure. Well, it's not going to happen for the next couple sessions, but we're getting pretty close to the duty rollover.
Yeah,
and
you've done some duty stuff. And you say next session because we actually picked. The episode's not out yet, so you can't say, but there was a pick. You guys decided to, because you're introducing a new character, to do something relaxed and do what I was calling the bottle episode and be basically the joke is about, it's like when TVs do not even necessarily clip shows, but we'll do episodes only of one or two sets and only focus on mostly the recurring characters because they need to do it for budget. This is more just as a relaxation thing of oh, okay, we're gonna get everybody together, we're gonna do some bookkeeping. I know you guys have a lot of wants and desires to buy things or mod things, so this will be a good opportunity to give you shopping because you guys did stick to your role-playing guns when the urgent quest came up that we did for the past 3 sessions, 3 or 4. You jumped right in there.
Yes.
You only I think you only took like the 4 or 5 hours to get some basic prep and some basic gear together.
Mm-hmm.
And did a lot of your work in transit, even. So this will be another opportunity for you guys to take some downtime, do some stuff in between. I've created a series of vignettes, some of which are character-focused and some of which are general. But we'll have a good point to like introduce the new character, talk about some new stuff happening, do some upgrades, some swapping, get some character stuff out. Do a little bit of fun stuff that'll hopefully be short with all the characters. Because I want to try and get it all out of the way in one session, but we'll see what happens. With, make sure to at least keep some of the drama and spice up in there.
Spice.
It was me. So I've been an absolute mad lad, and I've made. I think I told you about this. There are many charts and tables and bulleted lists when there really doesn't have to be. But I smashed this all out like Monday because I was actually quite excited. And kind of knew what I was doing, because we'd been talking for a long time. We did some of this as a downtime session before, though some of that downtime got confuzzled by people doing stuff that turned into a whole thing. But you had said in previous sessions, while you didn't go down the performer route and you are still kind of the face, you did want to spend more time in the bar and interacting with it. So I had already thought of some interesting scenes we could do, and I was like, I could do a whole episode, the whole adventure in the bar.
Mm.
This is not quite that. I've actually spread it out a little, because it makes more sense. But yeah.
I think the thing that keeps getting me, though, that keeps biting me when I think of downtime actions, I keep forgetting, while Mort Eridu is technically the biggest city, it's not that actually big a city. I keep forgetting that, and I'm just like, oh yeah, let's go to big city. Oh wait, yeah, no.
No, it's not that big. Population in Hololive's not huge. A lot of swamp farmers.
A lot of swamp. I'm not being about that swamp.
Mm-hmm.
So I can be like, yeah, let's go do big city. Oh wait, their Mort Eridu is literally fucking, is literally fucking. How do we put it? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I got rough population notes, which I try to keep consistent. Let me pop that tab open. Again, well, especially with a game mostly set on a planet, it is important to actually keep all your stuff down so that you can reference it later with players and stuff. So yeah, the net population of Hololive is only about 50,000.
Yeah, that's not a lot. That is not a lot.
Which again, Star Wars is basically treats almost planets almost like cities, right, or counties, where it's like, yeah, no, okay, so that's a small town planet, but you really got to think that's not a lot. Yeah, so Mort Eridu sucks up about 8,000 of that pop. So still a decent chunk, almost a fifth of the total global population. And actually, that whole fifth is contained if you add Mort Eridu and the actual Outpost Hololive, the science base, together. That makes about 10K. So that's about a fifth of your population is between those two zones where you guys most frequent. But still not a lot of people.
No,
still got a little bit of a small town country frontier vibe, which is what I was going for when I developed this planet and this setting. I was going for you're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere fighting over a planet that's not really worth it. But it's worth it enough that you're here, and well, now you're here, so. And I think, especially after spending, like I said, a few of those sessions off Hololive, I feel like a lot of the characters and players have kind of, they've remembered their relationship with Hololive as a place, and kind of you've gotten decently invested in it in all the little places. Mm-hmm. So that's good. I think at this point, Hololive will stay the focus of the campaign, though obviously doing stuff either in its orbit or actually, going to other places occasionally if you want to get some shit done. Heck, if you have enough downtime, you could literally fly to a planet with better prices and, buy some shit and fly back, Yeah,
no, that's what I was thinking, because talking about, I was talking about duty, you statted in the Clone Know Your Vehicles book, a lovely, lovely ship that is, I think it was only rarity 5. And
yes, a couple of the light cruisers, the small capital ships, are actually decently low rarity, so you can pick them up with duty. Probably deliberately so.
Yep. Cause did I talk about? I think I did. I think I talked about the ship I want at some point. It's because I was gonna go I was gonna try and convince everyone to pick up just a standard consular class, but then I realized I wouldn't be able to fit the Juggernaut on, and I'm just all but I want to take the Juggernaut.
Right, you want to be able to move your bases with your bases.
Yes. So I found the other one, and you actually had to write it up because...
Well, yeah, and I came up with that because I realized that I hadn't done any capital ship stuff yet, and I was like, oh, well, we're actually starting to bump into this. I should make sure to jot these all down so you guys can double check what you're working with, because it's actually kind of important sometimes.
Mm-hmm. But so yeah, it's like a sil. Actually, let me pull it up.
I believe the Arquitens or Arquitens. I don't know.
Yeah, Arquitens. Yeah, that's what it says.
I don't know if anybody's ever said the name out loud. Star Wars is really bad about saying all their proper nouns, and usually are just like, the Jedi Cruiser. Okay, cool. There are like 4 Jedi Cruisers. Thanks, guys. But
yeah,
anyway.
The Arquitens, Light Cruiser, Sil 6, Armor 5, Light Cruiser, Arquitens. Yeah, it's huge. It's fucking huge. Yeah, I know. I talked about this because I literally said, yeah, I want to get rid of the land speeders and stick in the Juggernaut. And you're like, yeah, that makes it. But like, yeah, once we get that, it's like, yeah, we could pop off maybe to like somewhere, come back, or maybe there'll be like just space adventures. Mm-hmm. We might not go just put down on another planet, or we might. Who knows? Maybe there's something happening on Hololive that can only be resolved on another planet, or asteroids, fields, ruins. I don't know, stuff.
But it logically opens up some more stuff and gives you yet more options to do mobility and whatnot.
Yeah,
which is important. And it lets you do cool new stuff.
I actually asked, hey, if I bring the ship down to low orbit, can it do bombardments like it did in the submission? And you were like, yeah, maybe. I was like,
yeah, probably. Got to get in range, but planetary range is pretty big. I believe it's noted as having ventral and dorsal turbos. So
yes,
yeah, it's got big hull turrets. Yeah.
Let's see, fire arc all, damage 9, crit 3, medium range, breach 1, leak 1, slow firing 1.
Turbos are great.
Yeah, they go pew pew.
It also, I believe, has a forward concussion missile too. So yeah, no, it's got some options if you wanted to literally have Cullen, orbital bombardments, close fire support, which is also totally a thing that's happened multiple times in video games, animations, etc.
Yeah, because I don't know, I don't know. We're still looking for our plot tokens to find the Separatist base, but I'm kind of hoping that we might start getting into some maybe some mass combat and big battles here.
Yes, probably. Again, you're going to get back into some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I've been, admittedly, some of that's because you've picked different plot hooks and focused in on some different story threads. We're starting to pare down the threads and narrow it down. I think, let's see, I can actually pull that up. But I think, this one was technically Separatist related. You fought even some Separatist droids.
Yes.
In it, which was always fun. But, let's see, where's my actual Clone Wars notes? Here it is. But I think that, while this one will obviously have war themes, will not necessarily be directly related to the Separatists, but I think, one or two of the remaining plot hooks are, I've said, are directly war-related, and you did a couple of those. You guys like to balance out your stories,
Mm-hmm. Do a little bit here, do a little bit there. We don't focus fire on one plot thread until it's done.
Yeah, so there's 3 left besides the bottle episode. One of them is directly war-related, and the other one, the Polar Vault, will probably involve some sub-relation, because we haven't too much stressed it, but it is definitely a sub-theme that, for these, archaeological and artifact missions, you are kind of in a race with the Separatists for this stuff. Mm-hmm. They are exploring this planet and trying to figure out its secrets just as much as you are, and occasionally you guys butt heads, in a very Tomb Raider-y type way. So we've got at least one indirect left. And I don't know exactly. We'll have to see how those all turn out, because that's the thing. I don't pre-write the plot hooks. I have vague ideas of what I want to do. I have lots of general ideas and general structure, but because I don't know what order you're going to do them in, I don't pre-write them ahead of time, because that would take way too much of my free time up to write literally all of these. It only took me an afternoon to write the bottle episode, but if I wrote the bottle episode and then the other 3 adventures I've got sketched out roughly right now, that would be my whole week, basically.
Yep.
And admittedly, that would mean I'd be set for several weeks after that, but that would be a lot of work in a very short time span on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, I don't know exactly what the next set is, but it will probably, ping off these and will probably lead you closer to, especially because of what we've been doing, much more active efforts and, fights, counterfights, that kind of stuff.
Yep. So I am excited. I can't wait for tomorrow, ball episode. I should actually probably get with everyone and tell everyone to have their goddamn shopping list ready.
Yep. Prep your shopping. Figure out what you're doing.
Have I mentioned I love doing logistics? I really do.
No, it's great, but also it's definitely I think like literally we did only quick shopping and we literally spent like 45 minutes in the last session.
Yeah.
Oh, and the one that's public right now, 39 going and doing the stuff. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but also you guys spent like 45 minutes talking back and forth about if you could obtain certain things.
Yeah. So that's definitely something I should probably mention to the group.
That'll be an interesting thing to compare because L5R, for instance, is not a very materialistic game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've definitely noticed that too. It's like her.
Like, there's not even explicit rules for getting paid as a samurai. Like, it gives you rules to acquire things by basically telling your lord, hey, I could use a new katana, or how to make your own new katana, but other than your starting stipend, it doesn't really officially tell you how. Like, I've heard some people say that you should, like, make that much money in, like, a year, a month, whatever. I'd probably work out some stuff, or I wouldn't, and I would just give you shitloads of money you budget yourselves, because I don't care. Much like how Rokudun doesn't care about money, I don't actually care about how much money you have, because you could lose honor and glory for being too money-grubbing, even. So, that's fine. Hey, if you guys want to throw loads of dosh at the problem, I don't mind. Just watch those numbers tick down. But that's definitely a contrast to Star Wars, which is oddly, excessively materialistic, or very interestingly materialistic at times, where literally we've had discussions with players who are like, because they want to get cool stuff, they're like, can we get paid? But I'm like, well, we're doing a Clone Wars campaign. It's not really about getting paid, but also I understand that the way the game is built, you guys need money to do stuff. So, and now there are obviously alternate rules. You guys could just roll usually knowledge warfare or something to try and get things, but those at least have to be militarily relevant. So sometimes it's hard to be like, hey, can I get a super fancy, expensive, chrome-plated chrome gun?
Chrome gun?
It's a gun that shoots chrome bullets. Okay, cool. No, you can't. The Senate's not going to authorize that budgetary expense. And also because of the situation we're in, because I did actually do the rarity modifiers and stuff because I wanted to like hammer in that Hololive kind of sucks. Shit's expensive here. You guys understand the plight of the common people.
Yes.
But at the same time, like I said, I try to make sure that in character especially, and also sometimes out of character, like I'm like, and I've even had sometimes even harsh conversations with some of the other players. Lucky understands what Lucky is about. I usually don't have to talk to him about it. He understands what he's doing, but also understands what he's like, yeah, there's no way I can do that normally, can I? Much like how we talked about, right, like, you saying you should yell at the players to get together their shopping list. You do that kind of stuff. Like, you'll prep ahead of time and be like, okay, so if we just make this much money, I can do X, Y, and Z kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, but I've had to talk to some of the newer players and be like, yeah, sometimes you guys aren't going to get paid, or you guys shouldn't be thinking about how you can wring the most money out of this situation. And occasionally I've thrown out little temptations like, oh, you could steal this guy's wallet, and usually they're like, no, it's not really worth it. Like, when we're in the moment in the role-playing, they try not to care too much about money, but sometimes we've talked about out-of-character griping and between-game stuff, and I've been like, it's not really about money, but I understand your plight.
It's one of the reasons why It's one of the reasons why I make sure that there is a group fund in the back. So
yes, that's a policy we've done for all our Star Wars campaigns that I like a lot, just because it really works. Because sometimes you get paid a lot of money, and you don't all want to use it right away, and you go, okay, well, let's just pile this all up so that because Star Wars is a class-based system, basically, right? Very often you will have specialists. Your medic man needs to medic. That means he might need nice medic tools to medic you better. So, even though it's a item for him that he has to carry, buying him a shiny new super med kit is actually really useful to everybody, because that means you die less.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me, I gotta make sure that Axe gets a satchel bag and Loth gets a bandolier.
Yeah.
They don't have a choice in this.
Well, yeah, and we've had that conversation about encumbrance, where I've Lucky is specifically referencing homebrew stuff I've come up with to handle the fact that for some reason our Cloney boys have a big encumbrance problem, and I'm pretty sure it's because encumbrance is not made to let you be a fully kitted out soldier, because
no, it's not.
They are, they're carrying like 2 guns usually, stuff like that. They got to wear their armor, and then they've got then they've got their respective, like, tech kits, like, our commando camo is carrying, like, a toolkit of some kind because he is the mechanics and demo guy. But he's also our scout, so he's carrying a little bit of survival equipment. Same with Boots. Boots is usually carrying a couple of different medical equipments, but if they want to carry, like, placeable explosives, grenades, other rando tools, Boots is also our tech, our computers guy, so he's comms and slicing, hacking stuff.
Yep.
So he needs tools for that, too, to do that properly without taking penalties, which is good, because he's not actually... So, talents and specializations cover a multitude of sins, but we're not in those, so we have these problems. Like, I think you guys had that with a couple of things, doing some piloting checks where you're like, oh yeah, none of us are pilot specs, so we don't get free passes on some of this pilot stuff.
Nope.
So usually you gotta carry equipment, which is very fucking heavy. So, I designed literally homebrew items like a bandolier to be like, okay, you can store E1 items, like so many encumbrance worth of E1 items, like grenades and stuff, without them counting against your encumbrance limit.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they're stored in such a way so they're easily accessible, and they're carried so they're not encumbering. Cool.
Yeah, because that's the thing about Star Wars encumbrance. It's not usually weight. It's not always weight. Sometimes it's just how does it fit on your person.
Right, and how are you carrying this? You know, can you fit this in a duffel, etc.?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, and usually there's a decent amount of mechanical, like, widgetiness. It's like, silhouettes, right?
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense for playing a lot of people. You guys... Axe the Jedi were literally the last part of this game system designed. That was the third game line. Yeah, Age of Rebellion came second. The first game is Edge of the Empire, which is about fringers and scum. You know, Han Solo types. Where, actually, I think it works out well, because, with between obligation and stuff, Edge is often about your eye being bigger than the apple kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta, like, actually think and plan all your shit out. It's also probably why some stuff is so expensive, because it's actually supposed to drive you to be like, man, I really want that super cool new chrome gun, but I'm just a poor spy smuggler. We gotta do one big score so I can buy my big gun.
Or so you can pay off the loan that you used to get your big gun.
Or yeah, so you can pay off your load because you took out a load from a hut, and it's like, listen, we either need to shoot this hut with my gun, or we need to pay him back. Either or. And usually Edge is like, let's go pay him back. Let's go steal something or sell something or con somebody. But yeah, so they you know, different systems were designed at different times to do different things. But there's definitely some balance type stuff in there. Like, yeah, I accept why grenades are E1, right? Because they don't want you to be able to throw grenades forever, because grenades are very mean against minions. And honestly, they're very cheap. Like, I think a frag is like 50 credits. Like, even in a backwater, you can probably find them for, like, several hundred, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they're not super expensive, but they do pretty good damage. They are balanced by the fact that they are normally one use. You throw a grenade, the grenade blows up, it's gone forever. So if you could carry, like, 50 grenades, well, that's not really a balance, is it?
No.
You'll just be throwing grenades forever. So I understand why, but man, there's a lot of gray area, which is why I invented the bandolier and stuff, and be like, okay. If you pay a little bit extra money and you sketch out some space, you can carry like 10 grenades for free. You will eventually run out and have to buy more, but you don't have to worry about the fact that, you know, carrying 10 grenades weighs more than your armor and all your guns that you're carrying put together otherwise. Or at least encumbers you. And I guess it makes sense, right? We're talking about how encumbrance is not literally weight. Actually carrying like 10 grenades in your fucking pockets would be a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah, but
that's why you bandolier.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm actually probably going to literally make a list of what should go on the bandolier and be like, all right, Boots, this is what you're going to use. And he's probably going to be like, okay.
Boots, I have pre-optimized your storage set out. Here's your attaché case. Which, again, not averse to that, and probably the other players aren't, because Axe and Loth, who are playing Boots and Camo, are clone trooper players. Mm-hmm. Yes, I get the names constantly confused all the time, and I have to do take-backs and retalks. But they're newer to this game, so we do, even 40 sessions in, we are still having conversations, and we are remembering stuff we forgot, because it was like 2 years since we last played this game. Like, just the other day, Marth was building his new character, and he went over the storage options, and it was like, oh yeah, so the modular military backpack can only carry one storage module, not two. It can carry up to 2 different modules. It says so in the description. And then we were like, oh, whoops, well, we'll have to fix that. And I was just like, yeah, there's like 2 other ways to get +6 encumbrance anyway, so you guys can just basically respec your inventory and pick up something different. Like, I think it's the not the modular backpack, and not the modular military backpack, but just the military backpack is like +6 E. It's just cumbersome too. So if you're a weenie baby alien, you can't carry it. But I think literally every character in our game is at least Brawn 2, so it's no big deal. So I was like, yeah, those are pretty cheap. You can probably hot swap if you really need that +6. But yeah, so we rediscover a lot of things, and there's still house ruling. I try not to berate the game designers too much, but occasionally I do. Omega will read a rule and get a little spicy, get a little feisty, and just be like, this is nonsense. This is not fun for anybody. Who tested this? We're not doing that.
How dare.
Stop it.
Oh yeah, I remember you got the spiciest over staggered on the crit table.
Yeah, there was it's a very high result, but there is a not too hard to get crit result, which is just you're staggered for the rest of the encounter. I'm like, who wrote that? Who did that? Because so staggered is basically the stun condition. When you are staggered, you cannot perform actions. This means you cannot turn actions into maneuvers, and you can't perform actions. So attacks, actions. Doing any kind of skill check, an action. Using most talents, action. Force powers, action. Now, this means most characters are limited to one maneuver a turn, because the only other way to get another maneuver is to take two strain, which for rivals and minions becomes 2 wounds. Minions, who usually at best have like 5 or 6 wounds, are not going to take a third of their fucking HP just to run away twice. So if you get staggered for the rest of the encounter, you're fucked. Like, you can't do anything. I think both times we've had a big stagger come up in small fights, I have been like, oh yeah, no, literally this fight's over now.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, that's not fun for GMs, and that's not fun for players. I would never want to do that to a player character. Like, obviously, you could roll to fix the crit, but still, I'm like, no, that's just no fun. Like, you just don't get to do anything fun. So, yeah, I was like, yeah, if that crit ever comes up in the future, we're gonna re-roll that and ignore it, because that's not good. I get feisty about overpowered, the crit lets you attack again, but mostly it's just funny. And luckily, you've taken a precision strike, actually.
Yes, I was going to bring that up, yeah. Things that let me pick my crits. And I said, yeah, I'm not going to pick crits usually that fucks with the action economy, unless it's appropriate. I think last game, yeah, it's like, can I just use overpowered? I actually asked Megan, would you be okay with that? And you're like, yeah, it's fine. It's like, all right, I'll do overpowered.
Yeah, I think it makes sense in context, because you were doing like a barrage of attacks, and it was like, yeah, you're trying to hit this guy multiple times. It works. You can only pick the crit once. Right, you can only pick the crit with improved precision strike once per round?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's this is actually a good mechanical catch. You can't just keep hitting critting to keep going with overpowered to do your full Aura Barrage.
Yeah. I would like to Aura Barrage, but I cannot.
No, sadly there's no outstanding talent that lets you do, like, linked or auto-fire with punches. I think there should be, but there's not. Now, you don't have it yet, but you can fucking air punch.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Literally, I believe it's called Far Strike. You can use the force to telekinetically punch people from far away. It's great. You probably want to eventually invest in that one.
I'm pretty close to it. I'm
just like I think Marth went out of his way with his second character to make sure he had saber throw. Because that's gotten the Jedi a lot this game. One, because move is a little bullshit. It's a little freaky how good it is if you can do it, but also it's just that, like, oh yeah, that guy's standing on a ledge above me. Well, shit. I either have to take most of my turn to, like, run and jump to him, because you got to invest a lot of points in Force Leap to actually casually leap places.
Even
again, which I'm okay with. That's all about the action economy and stuff, right?
Yep.
And there are special talents like I believe it's free running in this version of the system, which is just like, you can just move to anywhere within range, including vertically, because you parkour off stuff.
Parkour!
And in fact, the Genesis version is called Parkour with an exclamation point. It's great. But so there's talents for that. You guys don't have access to any of those right now, and you aren't necessarily investing down that tree in Enhance to get Force Leap. So there have been several times where you've been like, well, I guess the clones are going to take care of this. That guy's literally 10 feet up in the air, and I don't want to spend my whole turn climbing a ladder to get to him, so guess I'll die. And there are a couple times where you guys will use your tech to, like, move around, or you'll take the hit to your action economy. But usually it's just like, nah, it's really not worth it to just fight that guy over there. But I think that Martha's deliberately built it so he can saber throw now as a ranged option, and you will get Far Strike as your ranged option.
Yes.
Which is good. Star Wars, a lot of fun. We're getting pretty close to this being our longest running Star Wars game.
Yes.
Which is very interesting. We must have had very chaotic scheduling, because we haven't been at this game that long, I don't think. Like, maybe 6 months?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, but
we're 40 sessions in, literally. Admittedly, there was like a solid month in there where we were doing two a week, so that might be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I'm like, man, I felt like we were playing the Mayhem Squad game for like a year. We probably just had a much more chaotic schedule, is probably what it was.
Probably. But yeah, it's coming up. Again, like, I hope that, like, the energy is still going strong and people still want to play, because Lucky's always fine with going to new games, but he also usually likes playing, the games that he's in, you know?
Yeah, and you talked about that earlier when talking about, like, making your character coalesce and all that, and, lengthwise, when you're in a character for a while, they're very comfortable, and you like to, like, you're familiar with them, you can keep playing them, and you kind of, usually you want to see where they go, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's mechanically, like, gosh, I really want to level up my palette enough to get a fine steed. That's going to take me a while, by the way, half-casters. Or you're like, oh, but I really want to see where my character arc goes, because, I've got a lot of dodgy backstory that nobody will touch yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, I definitely understand that. And I appreciate that you're open. I'm still into it because like I said, I got a lot of rough ideas and scenes planned that I want to hit. Some of which are even like as the climax of this campaign. So I'm like, and honestly, I don't think I've run a lot of campaigns that have outright had an ending. Like,
no.
I think the only big one is Metahuman Renaissance, and that was technically a break. Like, that was supposed to go into future adventures, but it also had a very set structure for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, usually we peter out or get distracted, or I'm not even writing a full-blown, that type of campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Mayhem Squad ever had a climax. It was just, we're just going to keep going and see where those characters go until we get bored of it.
Yeah. Definitely.
And even then, I don't know if we were really bored of it, just we had scheduling problems and kind of got out of pace.
Yeah. Because I was looking at it, like, I'm about to pick up my third spec. I was looking at the cat. I was like, yeah, the cat, like, was only about to pick up his third spec, too. And I'm just like, like, because I was thinking about levels of play, because, last week, since we were talking about, like, night level play and all that stuff, and now that's, apparently night level play is, like, here, you get, like, what was it, another 150 experience?
Yes, you get, what they call night level play, which really it's just playing experienced characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, L5R does this better with, it has multiple levels where you can, like, if you're, like, you can be quote-unquote young heroes and have a little bit of EXP, or you can be, like, super experienced guys, etc., and get a lot of EXP, where you can start at higher ranks of play. But they call it night level play. I think that's just because they invented it for Force and Destiny, because it gives you your lightsaber already, which is, in Force and Destiny, not common. When you make a basic baby character, you're lucky to have a training lightsaber, and that's like all your starting money. To have a fake lightsaber that only does stun damage.
Whack.
Which, we kind of massaged some of that, obviously, for the Clone Wars, because it made sense, because I'm like, nah, you guys are real Jedi, you're not gonna get fake lightsabers to start, no. They're just not gonna be cool yet. And still aren't, actually. You guys have held back on that a lot. I'm very surprised. I think we're just about to get to crafting your own lightsabers.
Yeah, well, like I said, like, I'm waiting for that crystal that speaks to me.
Boy, I'm trying, though.
Yep.
But yes, so, the default night level play is you get an extra, over your starting XP, you get an extra 150 experience. You can buy skills up to level 3 when you start, which I think is just fair for introducing a new character anyway, because, especially if you give them shitloads of EXP, it's very easy for somebody to min-max and go, hey, 5-5. Be just like, no, please don't do that. And not even our characters who've been playing this for 40 sessions are 5-5 in anything yet.
Well, not 5-5, but...
No, not 5-5. We've got a couple of people who... did Axe go to 5 agility last? I think he might have. Axe, are you still listening? Did you go to 5 edge? With your last dedication? I know you have a couple of 4s. Axe is typing. And I know a couple of people have gone to 3 skills. I think Boots went to 5 in, like, his shooting skills.
Yeah.
But his stats are still median.
Yeah, so when he hits like a fucking truck, I'll tell you that much, because he also got fucking...
Well, yeah, and that's another thing I've talked about. I don't blame him for that. Yeah, he is 5 agility. So, we're not 5-5, but we're starting to get into 5s, but still, like, that would be way too easy for you to set up.
Yeah.
So, you're limited to 3, and they added a special rule in the Clone Wars book, because, playing Jedi Knights is not normally accessible to starting characters, so you could buy Force rating, which you actually did. I let you do that even though we didn't do Knight level play.
Mm-hmm.
Let you buy a couple extra points of Force rating so you could start as a Knight. But that's it. It's only the 150, and you have a couple special options. You do get a lot of Muns. You can get about 9,000 credits worth of stuff. Normally, or a lightsaber, but I was like, nah, we'll give the Jedi since Mark's still playing a Jedi character, I'll still give him the basic stuff, robes, lightsaber, belt. There you go. The belt is probably why you guys have such medium E, but it's also a really good belt. But then we gave him extra EXP to fit with the setting, because like you said, 150, kind of small.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what is considered those upper tier levels of play, because like I said, I'm thinking about my fucking third spec here and what I want to do. And
yeah, I don't know. To me, I feel like really high EXP is probably over 1,000, which we're not quite at.
Not quite. I think we're not far though either.
No, I think a couple of you have spent about 800.
Yeah.
That's still another month's worth of sessions, but closer.
Yeah.
I decided to split the difference because I believe Marth calculated that we had about 650 raw experience, maybe a little more. But most people had spent some more because of motivations and bonus EXP and stuff, so I split the difference and was like, let's go with 750. You got 750 to spend.
Yeah.
Because that won't put you way behind the curve, but puts you a little of the default, for experience and stuff, and they'll fit in. So yeah, it's good.
It is good.
I'm going to taunt somebody in Gacha Game Sighting.
Okay.
Also because of hilarity.
Hilarious.
So I've been farming casually. I just got a Z2 drop. Somebody's complained that they've just done 100 runs and haven't gotten a Z2 drop, but I was just like, the timing.
The time is now.
But hey, yeah, I just got a Z2 drop. Yay! Scratch one off the list. How many friendship points do I have? I think it's 300. Because I have still been doing this. Yeah, I got 330 actually. That's still not super close to 1,000, but I'm working. I've slowed down a little. While we've been having this in-depth RPG conversation. But yeah, so there's our interesting thoughts on retiring characters, introducing new characters, experience, and also specific stuff.
Oh, I am going to retweet that.
Well, like retweeting stuff. Hold on.
Oh, no. It's just, you were talking about
the Ghost of Tsushima thing I tweeted earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, it's good. It's good. Speaking of which, by the way, I don't have anything really new. I'm still in Act 2, still doing stuff. Still following a lot of NPC threads, which are cool. Just not really anything super new to talk about. Working my way down. Probably getting pretty close to starting Act 3.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess probably by next week I will be into Act 3. But yeah, okay, let me see. We've been going for about 3 hours. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think
there's one thing I want to mention, because I don't think it happened yet last week, but Nintendo's still being Nintendo.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they announced they're coming out with a new Hyrule Warriors. This one's Age of Calamity, so it's going to be a prequel to Breath of the Wild set in the Calamity period. And we'll have playable Link, playable Zelda, and all 4 champions I believe are confirmed playable. A lot of people were super happy about playable Mipha, for instance, which is interesting. Also, yeah, she's nice. So I don't know when that's coming out, but that seems super cool. I know Lucky's talked up. What's up?
Oh no, it's coming out in November.
Ooh, that's soon. Well, I'll pick it up in November. I can play it in my bed when I'm not plugged directly into Cyberpunk 2077.
Plugged.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's coming out pretty soon. That's cool. I'm pretty sure it's not what they announced for Breath of the Wild 2. It's just what they've been working on as kind of a stopgap.
Yep.
But Lucky has talked up Hyrule Warriors to me a lot, and the Calamity era definitely sounds super cool. Plus, you can play as cool characters like Urbosa and Mipha and Zelda. Because Zelda actually has the Sheikah Slate right now. Because Link doesn't get that until you start Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
A lot of people have been talking about how it feels it's almost got a Halo Reach kind of energy. The tie-in there, if you're not familiar with Halo, is Halo Reach is a prequel. It's set on the planet Reach, which, in the beginning of Halo 1, you are fleeing from it being destroyed. That's explicitly called out. So it's no, you know how this is gonna end, but it doesn't mean we can't have interesting storytelling and kind of... The champions were very popular characters of Breath of the Wild. So much so they got their own special DLC, which I still haven't done. But, I think that's fair to say that this is a really good way to get more characterization, more interaction with them, and do a lot of fun stuff. And I'm actually very excited to try this out. Especially because even though Lucky has recommended it to me, I think most of the times when I check, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is out of stock on Amazon. So it seems popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. That's super cool. Also, we looked into this a little, because, Lucky, you've been talking about just streaming Breath of the Wild for funds.
Yeah.
We actually did some research, and Nintendo has relaxed their policy sometime last year. So, because we are YouTube partners and have normal monetization, Nintendo's not going to get too mad at us or something if we stream Nintendo games, which is good. Because they used to be a little anal retentive about that. But it should be okay. So maybe you'll see some stuff like that.
I would like to do it. Definitely.
Is it National Video Games Day?
Is it?
That's what Twitter says.
Real talk, Twitter says a lot about...
Twitter says many things. Right now, I'm at live, so I guess Amelia's stream has started. She is trending. I have also seen some other Hololive EN stuff trending for me.
This is hell right now. Sorry, I'm still playing Remnant.
Yep.
Ow.
Do you want to talk about that any, or are you good?
No, I'm good. It's a game. It's just it's Gun Souls. That's really all it is. It's Gun Souls light.
Right.
I like it. I just been wanting a game where I can shoot things for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I'm still playing Artoria Ryza, but that is very bright colors, pastels, lots of crafting, cute anime girls. It was like, okay, I want something a little bit more gritty, but not too gritty.
Like, you're not gonna literally buy Dark Souls Remastered for your Switch, but maybe a little bit of grit.
A little bit of grit. Lucky is still planning on buying Demon Souls when it comes out for the PS5, though.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I might give that one a try, too. Just because I've played it a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, that is another good point. Just because of new stuff, we should shout that out. So we're planning on a PS5 stream this Wednesday. It will almost assuredly involve the PS5 price point because Microsoft just sucked it up and announced it. But they did it in a smart way for them. They announced the S first, which is I believe it's still Xbox One S, right?
I'm not sure.
Is that the nomenclature? I don't understand. I don't understand the branding at all. It's very confusing, probably deliberately so. But they announced the small version, which is basically just a budget option next gen. It's a little more compact than the current model they have, a little lighter. And it's only, is it $399? $299? Oh shit, I forgot already. I'm not buying an Xbox, guys. I'm sorry. Yes, available November 10th, $299. So, $300. Very solid budgeting. But then I believe they went ahead and announced the Series X, the full version, is gonna be $499, I think, $500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, $499 estimated retail price. Available November 10th. So they've locked in the date and they've locked in the time period. So they decided to go first to market, and they started with the S because that's cheaper and that'll stick in people's minds. But the full Series X is still pretty expensive, so now it's going to be a debate on what they're doing. I expect what Sony will do is probably the full version of the PS5 will match the Xbox price.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the full version with disc tray will probably be $499 because they can get away with that now. Maybe they'll price it right and be like, suggested retail price $498 or something. Like, I could see that happening. But I'm going to guess there's probably going to be a budget option, like maybe the discless version, the all-digital version will be like $50 cheaper or something. Like, they'll probably find somewhere to trim a little padding, but now that Microsoft has fired it out, we're getting confirmed stuff. So I'm interested in seeing a price point and some other stuff, this week. I don't know if I'll get one right away, and I might have to wait a while if I don't, because everybody's predicting there will probably be shortages because of the year that we've been having.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, fuck, I bought a PS3, which was that price,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's like, it doesn't sound like a lot of people were worried about the new console were going to break wallets, but
I could see maybe they go higher, but I expect they're gonna if they were planning on like a $599 cost, right? I expect they're gonna eat the cost and just try to get unit sales and not exceed Microsoft that much, because that's how this works.
Yes, this is why they've been playing the huge game of chicken,
right? And I'm gonna guess it's because they had their budget option that Microsoft blinked, and we were like, okay, no, we've got an option that doesn't sound scary. $299. Holy shit!
Yeah,
that's like. What, isn't that what the Switch costs?
Maybe.
Switch a little less? I don't know. I bought a Switch, I don't remember how much it cost me. Jeez. God, I'm fucking moneybags over here. But, no, like, $499 is a very reasonable price point. Like I said, I bought that when it took me several months of savings, but I bought a PS3 at that price as a small child. Well, not a small child, but, in my teens. So, No, it's definitely approachable for me as an adult. Again, just I don't know if budgeting, because November is actually not that far away, and I've got stuff I want coming out. I don't know if I'll have all the money saved up right away. Is the thing. Because got my pre-order locked in for Cyberpunk already. It's already locked in.
Ooh. And
I could cancel it and like do an upgrade or whatever, but that seems way more shenanigansy than just leaving my pre-order that's been there for like a year, right? And I've got my pre-order locked in for Squadrons already. I got my pre-order locked in for Super Mario 3D All-Stars. That'll come out this month. So I'm already locked into quite a few games for the rest of the year, and got some pre-orders sitting. And as I've said before, I don't like to drain my bank account too much. But we'll see. What about budget? All right. Well, we've been over 3 hours, and I think we've talked about most of the things we want to talk about, and I'm starting to develop a desire to pee, so I think we should wrap up.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in to What's Up, everybody. We do this every week. We talk about whatever. Expect us to talk more about gacha games, RPGs, and VTubers minimum next week, and maybe also other stuff. You know, whatever the news strikes our fancy. But if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to give it a like if you liked it. If you have any comments, you can leave those in the comment section down below. You can also hit us up on our Discord. That link is, as always, in the video description and on our channel page. Some people have had that question when we explicitly called them that are among us was from the Discord. And of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so you can always get our latest videos like this one and more. More highlights, more stuff, you know, whole thing. And considering that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video and when we stream, which we do stream at least like twice a week usually. You can also join our channel, hit that memberships button down there, become a member sheep, get emotes. It's cool. It's apparently Simptember, so simp. Speaking of simping, like we said at the front of the show, you can support us on Patreon. You can get access to this episode in audio format, downloadable for as little as $1 a month, or about $10 a year, because they now offer annual memberships. And it's a really great way to support us and keep us going directly. Because, hey, I'm sure if we get big support on Patreon, we can make sure to buy those PS5 sooner, and we can probably get to streaming. Hopefully. I hope they're not really fucky. Most systems have gotten less fucky with their digital copy protection and stuff. So hopefully, actually, that's something we should probably wait on. Is
I'm pretty sure they all. Well, I don't. They all got those go from HDMI to.
Oh yeah, no, the settings will exist. It's just going to be how fucky is it, because you already have to like go in, turn stuff off, shut everything down.
Oh yeah.
In the PS4, so hopefully Sony gets a little less finicky about that. But that's definitely something we should keep an eye on. Before we, like, spring forward and, like, yeah, launch day PS5, gotta stream. Oh, shit. Because people had problems with other consoles doing that. But, you know, supporting on Patreon lets us do big tech purchases for the studio and for ourselves and do lots of other little stuff. Lets us do fun things. So, thanks so much for supporting us and consider doing it. You can get lots of stuff, like audio, vote in polls, other stuff, listen to the show live. And that's it for us. So we'll see you next week for more What's Up. Feel free to tune into our episode of Let's Talk FGO that came out already, if you haven't. And that'll come out another one next week. And there'll be some more stuff in between. Whatever stuff we feel like. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.